Welcome back to the channel. Today's tutorial is dedicated towards complete beginners who would like to learn how to use WordPress to build a website. So if you're somebody who has no experience at all, you don't know what a theme is or what a plugin is, you don't know anything about WordPress at all, this tutorial is going to be perfect for you, because not only am I going to show you how to build this website you're looking at right now, but I'm going to cover all the basics. I'm going to tell you what a plugin is, what a theme is, what the differences are between a page and a post, and so on. So again, if you've never had any experience at all building a website with WordPress, this tutorial is going to be perfect for you. Now let me give you a very quick preview of the website you're going to learn how to build from this tutorial. The website is basically a travel blog called thelonenomad.com, and this is the homepage right here. You can see we do have the menu on the top right hand corner, the logo on the top left, and of course we have the main banner with the background image, and of course we're going to have different types of sections on our homepage. I'll show you how to build all of the sections, and then besides the homepage, we're also going to build our blog page as well, where we'll have different blog posts from different countries and so on. And then also the posts themselves will also have their own page structure, where we'll have the content of the post on the left hand side and then the sidebar with some more information on the right. If you have no idea what I mean by sidebar, don't worry, I'm going to explain that to you later in the course. We're also going to build the about page by making use of a template, and of course we will also build the contact page. I'm going to show you how you can insert a contact form as well as some animation to make your website a little bit more exciting. So I'm also going to talk to you about hosting. Before you can build a website with WordPress live on the internet, you're going to need to get yourself a domain name and a web host. I'm going to cover all of that, and I'll also give you some more information about what I will say are the best web hosting company in the world, SiteGround. But if you're not interested in paying for hosting services and you just want to install WordPress locally on your computer, I'm going to show you how you can do so by making use of Flywheel. Now, going back to SiteGround, if you are interested in learning more about how you can host your website with SiteGround, I do have a very special tutorial here on YouTube. You can search for it right now, and it covers everything you need to know about hosting your website with SiteGround. I'll show you how you can do things like make backups of your website, how you can install WordPress, and so on. But don't worry, in this tutorial itself, I'll cover the very basics on hosting. Also, let me just quickly mention that a few of the lessons that you're going to watch in this tutorial, I actually recorded them about a year ago, so I'm going to look a little bit different. And the reason why I chose not to re-record those lessons is because the information that I covered is still exactly the same. There is no difference at all, so it made no sense for me to re-record the entire video. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. In case you see me in a different kind of background, I'm looking a little bit different, just know that that video I recorded about a year ago. However, the content is still exactly the same and it's still relevant. And as always, if you have any questions or comments about anything I covered in this tutorial, be sure to leave them down in the comments section below. And let me just also quickly mention right now that if you're somebody who enjoys tutorials on WordPress, on web development, and this is the first time you're here on the channel, please do consider subscribing to the channel, and of course hit the bell so they're notified whenever I upload a new tutorial. I'm going to have all the timestamps that covers each particular lesson in the description box. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. Welcome back. So a very popular question amongst WordPress users is, what is the difference between WordPress.org and WordPress.com? Because both of them have WordPress, right? So what's the deal here? Well, let me just explain to you very quickly what the difference is between these two. Now, WordPress.org, WordPress.com belongs to the same company, Automatic. The difference here is that WordPress.com can actually offer you hosting. They can offer you hosting where you can host your website with them, but the problem with WordPress.com is that you do have certain limitations as to the kinds of themes you can use, the kinds of plugins that you can use. We'll talk about those a bit later, but just know that with WordPress.com, you do have some limitations. Now, with WordPress.org, This is basically them providing you with their software, which is WordPress. With WordPress.org, you're able to install WordPress on any platform out there with any hosting company, and you're able to make as many changes as you want. You can install any kind of theme, install any kind of plugin. Basically, you have full control on what happens on your website. But once again, with WordPress.com, you are limited. The only advantage with WordPress.com is that they will offer you hosting. But in all honesty, I would always 100% of the time recommend that you go with WordPress.org. Don't bother about WordPress.com. Now, there are certain instances where some plugins that you might want to use will require you to have an account on WordPress.com. Creating an account on WordPress.com is free. You don't have to pay for it. So just keep in mind that there are certain plugins like, for example, the Jetpack plugin. It's a plugin that would require you to have an account on WordPress.com. So all you would need to do in such a scenario would be to go to WordPress.com, create an account, and you'll be good to go. So you don't have to worry about paying for anything or anything like that. So that's basically the major difference between WordPress.org and WordPress.com. All right, so in this very special section, we're talking about web hosting, domains, and working with WordPress locally on your computer. Now, if you're already familiar with these topics and you don't need web hosting, you already know how to install WordPress locally on your computer, by all means, you can skip this entire section, move on to the next section. Don't waste your time here. However, if you're brand new to web development, web hosting, domain names, then this section is going to be for you. In order to take this course, you need to be able to work with WordPress. Now, this could mean either working locally on your computer, or you actually go the live route where you buy yourself a domain name, you get yourself some web hosting, and then you work with WordPress live on the internet. Now, there's pros and cons to both sides. The major pros with working locally on your computer is that, well, it's completely free. You don't have to pay any amount of money. And then second, you don't need internet access, so you can work on your website anytime. It doesn't matter where you are. The major downsides, though, is that you're not going to get the experience of working with an actual web host. So you're not going to know exactly how they protect your website from hackers and malware. You may not be able to do certain things like maybe install SSL certificates and so much, but there are basically things that you need to be live on the internet before you can actually do them. So your working experience with working with WordPress locally on your computer will be limited. Now, on the flip side, the major pros of working live on the internet is that, well, you're going to get all the experience. Your website is going to be live on the internet. Plus, if you want somebody else, like maybe, say, for example, me, to take a look at your website, it's going to be very, very easy. You just have to share the link to your domain, and I'll take a look, and it's going to be as easy as that. The major downside, though, is that it costs money to buy yourself a domain name and also get yourself some web hosting. But with that being said, if you want my own personal recommendation, I would always recommend the live route. Get yourself some hosting, get yourself a domain name. I just personally prefer that. But regardless, if you want to go the local route or you want to go the live route, I have spared no effort in introducing you to as many options as possible. Let me first of all talk about the live route. Now, when it comes to web host, because you need a hosting company to host your website live on the internet, I have two main options for you: SiteGround and then Cloudways. These are two web hosting companies that I actually personally host with. I've been with SiteGround since 2012. I joined Cloudways 2020. Now, the major difference between both of them is that SiteGround offers you something known as shared hosting, and then they also offer you cloud host. Now, cloud hosting is superior to shared hosting because with shared hosting, your website is basically sharing resources with other websites across the world. But with cloud hosting, it's just going to be your own website having a particular amount of resources specifically used by your website. Your website isn't going to share those resources with other websites. So basically, cloud hosting is more superior. With that being said, though, SiteGround offers you both shared hosting and cloud hosting. Cloudways offers you only cloud hosting. They don't offer you shared hosting. So as a result, with SiteGround, you can get slightly cheaper alternatives. Like if you go to web hosting, for example, on SiteGround, these are the prices. Okay, so it starts from $7 per month to all the way to $15 per month, depending on which plan you go with. And then with Cloudways, it's going to be a bit more expensive, like I said, because they only offer cloud hosting. But honestly, in terms of cloud hosting itself, they're among the cheapest that you can find on the internet. Their plans start from $10 per month all the way to $80 per month, depending on the amount of resources that you want to buy for your website. Now, in the very next video, I'll walk you through briefly how you can buy yourself domain names and then web hosting with both Cloudways and SiteGround. But let me also mention that I have written extensive articles on both SiteGround and Cloudways. I have also made videos comparing both SiteGround and Cloudways. Here is one right here, SiteGround versus Cloudways hosting, which is better. You can check out my YouTube channel, The Web Monkey. I would recommend that you subscribe as well. So I've made videos comparing SiteGround and Cloudways. I have also made extensive tutorials on how to work in the backend of both SiteGround and Cloudways. This is the one for SiteGround. So I show you how you can take advantage of the features they offer you, like speed, security, email services, and so on. Everything is covered in the video. I've also done the same for Cloudways as well. I've made a full tutorial walking you through the entire backend of Cloudways. So regardless of which one of the two you choose, I have you covered. I have all the necessary information for you. I have also written articles on my blog, webmonkeyonline.com. You can check it out, where I compare both of them, and I also write my honest reviews about both web hosting companies. In short, I can stake my reputation on both Cloudways and SiteGround because I work with them. And the good news here is that if you decide to go with Cloudways, if you want to buy yourself some cloud hosting, you want to go with Cloudways, I've actually partnered with them to provide you with a very special discount where you can get 25% off for the first 3 months. You simply use the coupon code CloudMonk25, but you also have to use my link, which I'll provide in the resources attached to this video. If you can't find the link, do let me know and I'll send you another one. But you have to use the link and then you use the coupon code CloudMonk25 to get 25% off for the first 3 months. Now, that's for the live route. If you want to go local, you want to work with WordPress locally on your computer, I've also made extensive tutorials. You can check out my YouTube video titled How to Install WordPress Locally with XAMPP. XAMPP is one way how you can work with WordPress locally on your computer. But I've also made another video for local by Flywheel. Local by Flywheel. Yes, it's another way how you can work with WordPress locally on your computer. You will find the video. I think the next one is going to be the second one after the upcoming video, basically. So I'm going to show you how you can install WordPress locally on your computer with Flywheel. And personally, between XAMPP and Flywheel, I would recommend Flywheel. Flywheel is a bit better because with Flywheel, you can actually generate a live link for your website installed locally on your computer. So if you need somebody to take a look at your website, you can do so with Flywheel. So I'll recommend you use Flywheel over XAMPP. So again, you can check out the video I'll have. It's going to be further down. I'll walk you through how you can work with Flywheel, how you can install WordPress locally on your computer. So with that being said, that's basically the introduction to web hosting and domain names. In the very next video, I'm going to show you how you can actually purchase web hosting with SiteGround and also with Cloudways, and also how you can buy a domain name from a site called Namecheap. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next class. Alrighty, so like I said in the previous video, let me show you how you can buy yourself web hosting and domain names with both Cloudways and SiteGround. Let's start off with SiteGround, and you can go to siteground.com, and then right here under hosting, you will see web hosting, WordPress hosting, WooCommerce hosting. It doesn't matter, they're all the exact same thing. I'm going to go with WordPress hosting, and then right here, they have 3 main packages: Startup, Grow Big, and then Go Geek. Now, if you want my own personal recommendation, you want to go with Grow Big, because with Grow Big, you can actually install as many websites as you want on that single hosting account. With Startup, you're limited to just one single website. So keep that in mind. Now with Go Geek and Grow Big, obviously you see the differences. With Go Geek, you have access to more resources, more speed, more disk space, and so on. So it all depends on how much you can afford. Now I'm going to go right here, click on Get Plan. And then if you have a domain name that you've already bought from another website, you simply go with I already have a domain and then you proceed from there. But let's just say, for example, you don't have a domain name and you want to get yourself a domain name. Well, you come in here right now and you type it out. So let me just type in something ridiculous because I know no one in the world has this domain name right now. So I'm going to go ahead now, click on proceed. So SiteGround will check to see if it's available. And of course it's available because no one in their right minds would buy such a domain name. So you simply fill out the information right here, put out your email, your information. Now, very, very, very important. Let me show you something. Right here where you have the data center, automatically it will default to your physical location, but you want to make sure that it's actually accurate. Now, it's set mine to Asia because I am actually in Asia right now. But depending on where you live, you have several options. You want to choose the data center that is closest to your physical location. So, for example, if you're in India, the closest would be Singapore, Asia. That's the closest to India, and so on. The reason why is because the closer you are to the data center, the faster you'll be able to access your website. So simply choose the correct data center, and then of course you can go with 24 months, 36 months, and so on. Right here, they do offer additional features like domain privacy and also their SiteGround site scanner. In all honesty, you don't need them. Okay, just ignore those two and just buy your domain name and the web hosting, and then you receive an email and then you can proceed from there. Of course, don't forget to check out my YouTube tutorial on how to access and use all the features that SiteGround offers you in their back end. Now, with Cloudways, one thing I need to mention is that with Cloudways, you cannot buy yourself a domain name. They only provide you with cloud hosting. Speaking of cloud hosting, I nearly forgot. With SiteGround, they do also offer you cloud hosting. Don't get me wrong. It's just that their own cloud hosting is a bit more expensive than that of Cloudways. So if you're looking for a cheaper alternative, Cloudways is your answer. And yes, they're actually quite good with their cloud hosting as well. So with Cloudways, you're going to go over to pricing, and you will see the different options that they have. Cloudways themselves don't actually offer you the cloud service. They partner with other companies. So right here you have DigitalOcean, Linode, Vultr, AWS, which is Amazon, and then Google. And of course, Amazon and Google are the most expensive, as you can see. I mean, with Google, you can go as high as $225 per month, which is insane. DigitalOcean is by far the most popular. It's also what I use. So if you're going to go with cloud hosting, I'll recommend DigitalOcean. And then right here, you choose whichever one you can afford. I would recommend at the very least, go with the $22 per month at the very least. And then you can click on start free. They'll offer you 3 days free trial. But don't forget that right here where you have to fill out your name and all that, you have the link for got a promo code. You want to click in there and then add your promo code CloudMonk25 to get 25% off for the first 3 months. Don't forget to use my link in order to take advantage of that promotion. And then I believe with Cloudways, you will have to verify your identity. So you may need to take a picture of your ID card, whether it's your license, your driver's license, or your passport, things like that. You send it to them, and then within an hour or so, they will confirm your identity, and then you get access to the host. And of course, like I said, don't forget to check out the YouTube tutorial where I walk you through how to use the Cloudways backend. Now, I know I said earlier that with Cloudways, you cannot buy a domain name. They only offer you cloud hosting. So what's the alternative? You could buy your domain name from SiteGround, but a cheaper alternative would be namecheap.com. You can buy domain names for really, really inexpensive amounts in here. So as an example, in here again, I'm going to type in something ridiculous, hdfasdfa.com. Let's go ahead now, search for that one. So of course, Namecheap will check and verify that it's available. So let's wait. So let's wait. Okay, so you can see right now it is available, and it's only $8 per year. So I'm gonna go ahead now, add that one to the cart, and then proceed to checkout. I buy the domain name, I get my email, and I am in. Now, the question you will have here obviously is, you've bought yourself a domain name from Namecheap, you've gotten yourself cloud hosting from Cloudways. How do you connect both of them, right? Well, it's very, very easy. In the YouTube tutorial, I show you how to do so, but Cloudways also have an actual document right here explain to you the entire process. You have to create something known as an A record on your Namecheap account. They show you all the steps in here. It's right there. It's very, very, very easy. I guarantee you it's not going to take more than 5 minutes. You simply do whatever, you do what they tell you to do right here, and then the rest is history, as they say. You will easily propagate your domain name from Namecheap over to Cloudways. Of course, if you run into any issues, if you run into any difficulty, you can contact Cloudways. Their support is also very, very good, and I guarantee you that they will be able to help you out. So if you have any more questions about SiteGround, Cloudways, or Namecheap, of course, do let me know. I'll do my best to answer your questions as soon as possible. So hopefully I've been able to give you enough guidance on how to get started with web hosting, domain names, SiteGround, Cloudways, and so on. Thanks so much for watching, and of course, I will see you in the next class. I'm making this video to quickly show you how you can install WordPress on your website on both SiteGround and Cloudways. Now, of course, I covered both in my YouTube tutorials, but I think this will be a lot faster for you. You can watch the YouTube tutorials for more information like, backups, security, SSL certificates, and so on. But let me show you how you can quickly get your website up and running on these two platforms. Now, if you're with SiteGround, once you've logged in, you will see websites up here on your main menu. You click in there. And then right here, you just click on new website up here. You click in there, choose your hosting plan. Let's continue. Now, right here, you have three options. You can go with new domain where you'll have to buy a new domain name again and then proceed. Or you can go with your existing domain. You click on select and then choose your domain name that you bought from SiteGround. Or you can go with temporary domain where SiteGround will create a temporary domain for you. It's free. You can see right now, it's created this one for me. I'm going to click on continue. And by the way, the process from this point on is the same for either the temporary domain or the existing domain options. Right here, you're going to click on start a new website. You click on select right here to install an application. And then right here, you can go with WordPress, or if you're taking a WooCommerce course, you can go with WordPress plus WooCommerce as well. But I'll recommend you just go with WordPress right here. You click on select, and then you just set up your login details. You enter your email address right here, your password, click on continue, and oops, I should have entered an actual email address in here. My apologies. Okay, let me just quickly fill that out. Okay, click on continue. And you don't need to add the site scanner. You don't need that one. Just click on finish. And there you go. So right now, SiteGround will create the site for you. Let's move on to Cloudways, and let me show you how you can add your website. From here, from servers, you want to go over to applications on your main menu up here. Okay, so from here, you click on add application, the green button. Okay, and then from here, you're going to choose your server that you have with them. You click on add application. And then from here, what you're going to do is you select the application. You want to go with WordPress version 5.6. It might be an updated version depending on when you're watching this video, but currently it's 5.6. So 5.6. Now you can name your website. So I'm just going to call my own test website, just as an example. Test web site. Project, just leave that as it is, and then click on add application. And there you go. So Cloudways right now is installing WordPress on the website. And so you can see right now, it will take approximately 2 minutes. SiteGround has already finished. So from here right now, you can go to the Access WordPress admin. You click on the button right here, and this will take you straight to the backend. So you might see this warning telling you that, hey, the site is not secure. That's because you've not yet installed an SSL certificate, but it's fine. You can go ahead and proceed to the website. Okay, so you can ignore the error warning. And there you go. So with SiteGround specifically, they do have the starter wizard. You can just click on exit to exit the wizard and take you straight to the back end. And there you go. So from here right now, you have WordPress installed on your website. You can then proceed with the course. With Cloudways, let's see. Okay, it's going to take about a minute. Let me just wait for this one to finish. Now, once again, my YouTube tutorials on both SiteGround and Cloudways will cover everything that you need to know, from creating email accounts, installing SSL certificates, taking backups, and so on and so forth. Let me go ahead and close this too. And there you go. So fortunately, Cloudways has finished installing WordPress. So you're going to go back to your applications. And then right here, you should see the name of your website right here. You click on test website right there. Just click on the link. And then from here, you will see now the application URL right here. You will have the button to launch your website. And there you go. So from here right now, you can see Cloudways has installed WordPress on this temporary domain. You can now simply from here go ahead and access the backend wp-admin. And there you go. You simply log in, provide your username and your password, and you're good to go. So hopefully this video has shown you how you can get WordPress installed on your website with both SiteGround and Cloudways. If you have any questions, of course, do let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. So now let me show you how you can install WordPress locally on your computer, should in case you don't want to pay for web hosting or a domain name. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to go to localwp.com. This is the homepage right here. And the thing is, you can download the tool for free. However, in order to make use of certain tools and add-ons, you would need to create an account with them. So I would recommend that you simply just go ahead now and click on create an account. Now, the process is very straightforward. Simply add your first name, last name, email address, provide your password, and then simply create your account. Now, as you can see, I have already logged into my account, and now I can proceed to download the latest version of local. When you click on the link right there, simply choose your platform. Mine is Windows, so I'm going to choose Windows, and then simply click on download local. Now, this will take a while because it is quite a large file size. What I'm going to do right now is to pause the video and resume once the download has finished. As you can see, I have downloaded local, so I'm going to go ahead now and click on the link. Just simply double click, and local is going to launch right now. And all right, so I'm going to click on next right here, click on install, and that's pretty much it. Installing local is actually very straightforward. This typically will take about 20 seconds. So I'll pause the video one more time and resume once the installation has completed. All right, as you can see right now, local has finished installing. I'm going to run local by clicking on finish. And now local is going to run, and let's wait for a few seconds for it to open up. And there it is. All right, so this is the very first page right now. And because this is a brand new installation, I haven't created any sites with local. I'm going to see the prompt that says, looks like you haven't created any sites yet. Let's create a new site. So I'm going to click on the link right here, and you've got 3 different options. You can create a new site from scratch, or you can make use of a blueprint, which is basically our pre-installed themes. Or you can also select an existing zip where you can upload your files and folders for your WordPress installation. However, I'm going to go with the very first option in here to simply create a new site from scratch. So I'll click on continue, and now we can add the name of the site. For testing purposes, I'm just going to call this one Blogger as an example. Under advanced options, you can choose like the local site domain and then the local site path. I'll just keep the default options, click on continue. And now in here, you do have the option of choosing either a preferred environment, buy local, or choosing your own custom environment. What this means by custom is that you can choose the PHP version, you can choose the type of web server you want to go with, and also the type of database. I would recommend you go along this path if you know what you're doing and you have very specific requirements. But in most cases, the preferred environment is very good. It's good enough. So I'll choose preferred, click on continue, and now I'm going to add my username, which would be Blogger, and then I will also add my password right there. And for the WordPress email, I'll keep the default. Under advanced options, you can choose to install a multi-site if you want to, but mine isn't a multi-site, it's simply a single website. So I'll choose no, and then click on add site. And now what local is doing is that it is simply creating the site. So this might take up to 10, 15, maybe 20 seconds. Shouldn't take that long actually. All right, so you might see certain kinds of prompts on your computer asking if you want to grant permission. I'm going to go ahead and grant permission. And now you can see officially local is now adding WordPress to my Blogger site. And as you can see right now, the site has fully launched. And then right here, I can click on open site. And now this is the website right here, as you can see. So let me go back to the local platform. Right here, we have the overview of the site domain, SSL, and so on. And then here, database. If you need to access the database of your site, you can do so right here. Just click on open admina, and this will launch the database for your website. Now, under tools, this is where you can find the extensions that have been installed on your site. Now, speaking of extensions, there is one I want to show you how you can install because I believe it's extremely useful. You want to come down here to add-ons. You click in there. The extension I'm talking about here is the image optimizer. This is a fantastic extension because what it does is that it compresses your images on your site, making them smaller, saving you plenty of space. So I'm going to click in there and I'm going to click on install add-on to install the add-on. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I am going to add a few images to my website. So let me just go ahead and log in right now real quick. And I'm doing this so I can demonstrate to you how the extension actually works. Okay, let me drag this away. And okay, so you can see right now it has installed. So what I will do right now is I'll click on enable and relaunch. So what this will do is that it's going to turn off our site because it has to install the extension. So we're going to get back to this page right now, and you can see right now the site has been turned off. So I'm going to go over here to Blogger. You click in there, and then right up here in the right hand corner, I'm going to click on Start Site to launch the website one more time. And there you go. Okay, I'm going to drag back my website right here. And just to show you, I have already added 2 images. So we're going to compress these 2 images. So let's go back to our tools. And then right here, you will see the image optimizer link. You can click in there. And now right now, I'm going to click on scan for images. And now you see it says we found 12 images slowing down your site. Now you might be wondering, we only have 2 images in the media library. Why is it that the image optimizer extension saw 12? Well, don't forget that whenever you upload images to your site, WordPress automatically will try to create different sizes for that particular kind of image. So you'll have like the large size, medium size, thumbnail size, and so on. So it all depends on how large the images are. As you can see, these images are pretty large. This is 1992 by 1007, while this one is 2048 by 1365. So this will depend largely on how many images you have or how large the images are. So in order to now actually compress the images, I'm going to click on View Images there, and now click on Optimize Images. Click on Optimize Images again, and there you go. All right, so now you can see it says optimization complete. You've saved 0.18 megabytes of space, and that's basically how the extension works. Now up here, you can click on Go to Site folder, and this will give you access to the actual files for your WordPress website. These are the files right here, as you can see: app backups, conf, and then logs. Let me move that one away. Now over here on the left hand corner, you can connect if you have an account with WP Engine or Flywheel. And then of course right here, you will have access to the blueprints. These are of course pre-built templates. So far, we don't have any in here. This is of course the add-ons library. And if you want to uninstall any extension that you've installed, you simply go to installed right here, and you can see this is the one we've installed. I can either turn it off completely, or I can click right here and then uninstall the extension completely. And then right here, you will have access to the support page where you can read documentation, or you can also ask the community for help. And of course, if you need to add a new website, you simply click down here and you can add another site to your platform. And that's basically how to install and manage websites using local. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Okay, so the time has come for us to explore the back end of our WordPress website. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead now and add a / right there. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. This is what I meant to do. All right, forward slash and then WP dash admin. So now we're trying to get access to our backend. And so right now I'm simply going to provide the username and password that I used to install WordPress to gain access to the backend. And there you go. So you can see I have access to my dashboard and what we refer to as the back end. You can see we've got on the dashboard, we have home, we have updates, posts, media, pages, comments, and so on. Now, down here, I do have something called the SiteGround Optimizer. If you don't see SiteGround Optimizer in yours, it could be that maybe you're using a different web host. So don't worry if you don't see it. It's not important for now. In fact, I'm not going to use this particular tool, so don't worry about it at all, okay? But basically, the back end is where we can begin to make different kinds of changes to our website. We can change the way it looks. We can add some functionality. We can add new users. We can do basically anything we want to do. We can create content and so on. And I wanted to inform you that the back end will begin to change as you start adding new functionalities and so on. As an example, I'm going to show you the back end of my own personal blog, webmonkeyonline.com. And right now you can see that I do have additional items like Elementor, I have templates, I have my theme shop, I have rank math. So all these are additional functionalities. So the point I'm trying to make here is that this right here is as simple as your back end is going to get. It's only going to get a bit more congested from this point on because we're going to be adding functionalities and so on. All right, let me just walk you through very, very quickly what these are. So basically, the home page in your dashboard is just what you see right here. Welcome to WordPress. You will see WordPress events and news around you and so on. Nothing really important. The updates section is where you will find if there are new updates to your themes, plugins, which we'll talk about a bit later, or even to WordPress in general. You will find all the available updates in here, but we'll talk about that a bit later. Posts, this is where you can create new posts, articles, so we'll talk about that of course later. Your media library, this is where you would add things like your images, your videos, documents, and so on. And then you have pages, which are similar to posts, but a bit different. We'll talk about that a bit later as well. Comments, you'll find them in here. Appearance, this is where, of course, you can change the design of your website. Plugins, we'll talk about them a bit later. And then users, this is where you can add new users to your site. Maybe you want to add a new admin or an editor and so on. You've got tools where you can perform some advanced functionalities like importing data, exporting data, and so on. And then you've got the general settings, which we'll take a look at very, very, very soon. And then SG Optimizer, which I won't talk about because I am not going to use it. So this is a general introduction to the back end of WordPress. Join me in the very next video where we'll now take a look at the general settings. I will see you then. Welcome back. So let's talk about the general settings for WordPress. And of course, to access them, I'm going to come down here to settings and then click on general. Who would have guessed? All right, so right here, I've got site title and then the tag line. These two are very, very important and they need to be changed because right now as it is, take a look at my tab. Basically, it's just saying my blog and then WordPress blog. These has nothing to do with what the website really is about, which is about traveling around the world and so on. So you really want to make sure that your site title is the name of your site. So I'm going to change this right now to Lone Nomad. And then the tagline basically would be a description of what the website is about. And this is actually a good opportunity to try some SEO. Basically some keywords, some words that are custom to what your website is about. So in this case right now, I'm going to say a blog about nomadic traveling, and let me just make the blog capital B. So yeah, there you go, a blog about nomadic traveling. So right now, if I save my changes, okay, now you can see that it has changed in here. Now it says Lone Nomad, which is of course now the name of the website, and then the tagline, which if people begin to find our articles on search engines, they will see the tagline, a blog about nomadic traveling, somewhere around there. So again, make sure your site title is the name of your website, and then the tagline basically would be a very, very short description of what your website is about. Now, WordPress address, site address, these two are fine. There is no need to change anything in here. For the administration email address, make sure that the email you have here is an email that you actually have access to. In my case, well, I don't have access to admin@thelonenomad.com. So I'll just come in here right now and change this to my actual email address. And I will receive an email from WordPress asking for confirmation, which I'll do a bit later. So let's keep this as it is. Now, membership. This is very, very subjective. It depends on what kind of website you are building. In my case, it's a blog, and I'm not going to require people to be members before they can, write comments and so on. However, in your situation, if you want people to log in or have an account before they can make comments, then you can come in here and tick anyone can register. But in my case right now, I'm not going to make that compulsory, so I'll just leave this box blank. New user default role, there are several of them. We'll talk about this a bit later. Leave that as it is. And then, of course, the site language. English is my first language, but hey, if you speak Simreg or Bosanski or whatever these languages are, which I've never heard of, you can always come in here and change them. I think WordPress supports over 100 different languages, which is just amazing. So choose whatever language you want to work with. And then, of course, the time zone, the date format, time format, week stats, and all that stuff is right there. So I'm going to go ahead now and just simply hit Save Changes. And then right here, of course, because I've changed the admin email address, you can see I do have the notice saying there is a pending change of the admin email to this one. So I'll have to go to my email and then make the confirmation, which I'll do later. Let's jump down here to writing, which for now, there isn't anything that we need to address in here. We'll come back later and change the default post category when the time comes. So we'll leave that as it is. Now, reading, this is interesting because right here, you can decide how many blog pages you want to show on your pages, right? So the default here is 10 posts. You can come in here and make them smaller or increase them. For now, we'll leave that at 10. Syndication feeds show the most recent, again, 10 items. Let's just leave that as it is. For each post in the feed, include full text, fine. Search engine visibility, you want to make sure that this box is never checked unless you don't want your website to ever appear on Google and other search engines. Basically, what this means is that if you say discourage search engines, then you're basically saying, hey, Google, go away. Don't you ever come in here and recommend my sites to people, right? So you don't want to do that. So make sure this box is never checked. Let's just ignore reading. Let's head on over to discussion. Right here, basically, this pertains to comments on your articles. So you do have several settings in here, most of which are very, very subjective. There is no right or wrong answer in here. It all depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So by default, you've got the attempt to notify any blogs linked to from the post, notifications. These two are perfectly fine. I won't want to untick them. Allow people to submit comments on new posts. Fine, absolutely, why not? I'll go ahead and tick that. And then right here, you've got the other comment settings. So right now, you can begin to restrict who actually has the ability to post comments on your articles. So by default, it says comment author must fill out name and email. I think that's perfectly fine. Users must be registered and logged into comments. So this, of course, is very, very subjective. Again, this depends on what kind of blog you are trying to create. I'll leave mine blank. Automatically close comments on posts older than 14 days. Again, subjective, it depends. You could extend this to maybe 3 weeks, which would be 21 days, or maybe even 7 days, which would be 1 week. All these again, I'm just going to leave them as they are. They're pretty self-explanatory. Now, over here, you do have the before a comment appears, comment must be manually approved. This, of course, will ensure that you never have trolls or the kinds of comments you don't want appearing on your articles. But it's also going to be very time consuming, right? Especially if your articles are very, very popular, you're getting lots of traffic, hundreds of people are commenting. So personally, I'll just untick this one and let people just post whatever comments they want to do, because you do actually have the ability to moderate comments in these two boxes. So right here, you can decide to hold a comment in your moderation queue if it contains 2 or more links. This, of course, is very, very common with spam comments. When a comment usually has more than 2 links, that's usually spammy. In my case right now, I will just come in here and say if it contains 1 or more links, so basically no links are allowed. But again, it depends on your articles. Maybe you want users to be able to post links. So again, it's very, very subjective. But in my case, I don't want any links. I'll just go ahead. Actually, let's go with 1 link. Let users post 1 link. Anything more than 1 link, then that comment will be held for moderation. And then in here, in this box, you can type in the words that if any user uses those words in their comments, the comment will be held for moderation. So this is where you can add things like maybe word like abortion, maybe, maybe you're trying to avoid people using words pertaining to very, very sensitive topics. You can come in here and add them in moderation. And then in here, of course, you've got the comment blacklist. So if any comments contain any of these words, automatically just put them in the trash. So words like this, for example, you want to put them in the trash instantly. So 1 word per line, by the way. So that's how you can work with these 2 boxes. And then finally, you have access to the avatars, which, it's the default WordPress doesn't really provide you with that much options. Mystery person is fine, I guess. Maximum rating, honestly, in my almost 10 years of using WordPress, I've never actually found the use for this maximum rating. So I'll just leave this on G. It's suitable for all audiences, I guess. And there you go. So I'm just going to go ahead now and save my changes. Let's head on over to media. Now, the thing here is whenever you upload a new image to your media library, WordPress automatically will create 3 different variations of that particular image. So you're going to have the thumbnail size, which is of course the smallest, medium size, and then large size. So in here, you can choose to change the proportions or the dimensions for these sizes. But in my experience, it's best to just leave these as they are. There is no need for you to change anything in here. Permalinks, very, 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 very important. This refers to how the URLs of your articles, your posts, your pages are constructed. Now, thankfully, in the good old days, it used to be that the default setting here would be plain. So basically, you will have your website's address and then / and then a very ugly representation of what your article is or what your post is. This used to be extremely bad for SEO, but thankfully right now, post name is the default. And this is actually highly recommended. So basically, whenever you write an article and you publish it, you'll be able to find that article and your website's name and then the actual title of that article. We'll talk about this a bit later. So post name is perfectly fine. There is no need for you to change anything in here. So leave that as it is. And then finally, the privacy page, which is important. We'll talk about this a bit later, so don't you worry. But this has been the general introduction to the general settings for WordPress. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Let's talk about your user account on your WordPress website and how to make some changes. Now, first things first is, remember when we talked about the general settings and I came in here and changed my email address to alex@thewebmonkeyonline.com. Well, it is now time for me to confirm that indeed I want to change the admin email address. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to log into my email account and verify this change. And here it is right now. You can see I do have the email from WordPress saying that asking if I want to confirm the change. So I'm going to go ahead now and click on the link right here. And there you go. I have to log in again. So I'm going to do this because I'm using a different browser. I'm using Chrome here. And there you go. So now you can see that because I have confirmed the change, now my admin email address has been changed to alex@thewebmonkeyonline.com. So once again, do make sure that the email here is a real email that you have access to. All right, so I'll switch back to my Brave browser. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to head over to users and I'm going to click on your profile, which is basically my profile. And then right here, let me go ahead and refresh this page first of all. So right here, you will have to also change the email in here. So I'm going to come in here and then repeat the process, change this to alex@thewebmonkeyonline.com. Let's go ahead now, update the profile. And then again, I will have to go to my email account and then verify that I want to change my profile email address to alex@thewebmonkeyonline.com. Alrighty, so as you can see, I have already gone ahead to verify the email. So now my email once again is alex@thewebmonkeyonline.com. So you do have to change your email twice, the general settings and then over here where you have your profile. So basically in here, you can make a few changes to how you will be presented to your readers. Because right here, you can change your first name, you can change your last name. You can also change your nickname, which would actually be displayed publicly. So right here, you could change this to something more personal. If you want to use maybe your own first name, I'll just stick with Nomad. But then over here, you actually do have the option of also displaying your first name, your last name, and then maybe a combination of your first name, last name, or last name, first name. So you do have those options in here. I'm going to go with Alexander, all right? So right here, you do have the ability to add a biographical info. Now, why is this important? Well, it could be that maybe you want to show some information about yourself at the end of every post that you create on your WordPress website. An example is over here on Forbes. You can see at the end of this article, you can see the author Anthony Katz, that's his profile picture. And then here is a short bio about him. So it could be that you want something like this to appear at the end of every post that you write. So this is where WordPress would pull that kind of information from. So I'm going to come in here right now and paste some text I've already written before. So basically, my name is Alex, I love traveling, blah, 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 blah. So we'll keep that one. And then right here, I can add my profile picture. Now to do this, we could click on the link right here that says you can change your profile picture on Gravatar, but I'm not going to recommend this because it's very inconvenient and you'll have to go to an external site and it's not the best way to add your profile picture. I'll show you later how you can add your profile picture in a much better and cleaner way. And then, of course, finally, you can generate yourself a new password if you wanted to, or, well, if you have logged in on different places, maybe on your phone, or on other computers out there, you can log out everywhere else. I'm going to go ahead now and simply update the profile. And there you go. So jump in the very next video where I will now show you how you can add a new user as well as the different kinds of roles that WordPress provides you by default. I will see you then. Welcome back. So now let's talk about how you can add a new user to your WordPress website. It's very simple. You come down here to users, you click on add new, and of course you will fill out the username, which is required, the email address for them, which is required. And then right here, you can either create your own custom password for them if you want to, or you can let WordPress generate a password for them. Now, they would be able to change the password as well once they log in. So it's not compulsory that this password, it will be the one that they will use. They can always change it. And then right here, you can choose to send the user a notification that, hey, I've created this account for you on the website. Here are the details. And then they can log in and do whatever they need to do. And then finally, which is the most important, you can choose 1 out of 5 default user roles for the user. It is extremely important that you select the right role for them. And to give you a better understanding of what these roles are, let me now give you a presentation about the WordPress user roles. So let's talk about the 5 default roles that comes with WordPress. And the very first one is going to be that of the administrator. And as the name suggests, this is the most powerful role in WordPress, and this role grants supreme power. And what I mean here is that the admin has complete control over all content. They can create new content, publish, delete, edit. They can do whatever they like with content. Plus, they can also perform all technical tasks. What this means is they can install new plugins, they can change themes, they can create new user accounts, they can do just about anything on the WordPress website. So be very careful before you grant anyone the role of an admin, because that role is extremely powerful. The second most powerful role is that of the editor, and the editor has complete control over all content and comments. The difference between the editor and the admin is that the editor cannot perform technical tasks, which means they cannot change themes, they can't install new plugins. They only have control over content and comments. The third role is that of the author, and the author can create, delete, publish, and modify their own content. They cannot modify or delete other people's content on the WordPress website. They can only manage their own particular content. So that's the difference between an author and an editor. Next is the contributor, and the major difference between the contributor and the author is that unlike the author that can publish their own content, a contributor cannot publish their own content. They can create content, they can delete it, they can modify it, but they cannot publish their own content. So this kind of role is typically assigned to first-time content creators on the website, when basically the admin or the owner of the website just wants to try them out and see how well they can write content. And last but not least, we do have the subscriber role, and well, the gentleman there looks very happy. Maybe it's because the subscriber can, well, read all posts, but that's just about it. The subscriber cannot do anything, and I'm guessing the man is very happy because he's got no responsibilities. All he has to do is just read posts. So the subscriber role is very, very limited, and it's rarely ever used. Now, one thing or two things to take note of is that, one, roles and capabilities can be modified. So just because WordPress by default makes it so that an editor cannot perform technical tasks, you can actually change these default options and give technical abilities to your editors. And second, custom roles can be created. You can decide to create your own custom roles like king or queen or developer or something like that. So you're not restricted to the 5 default roles that comes with WordPress. So that's it for the 5 default WordPress roles. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next class. Let's talk about pages and posts, because these are the 2 default content types that WordPress automatically provides for you. And right here you've got posts, and then you've got pages over here. What exactly are the differences between posts, pages? When should you use a post? When should you use a page? Now I'm going to use my blog as an example. Right here I do have this article basically describing why SiteGround remains the best web hosting company in the world for shared hosting services. And in this article, I go into great lengths describing why, I provide reasons and so on. But down here, you will notice that I do have a couple of people commenting, right? I've got one from Richard. There's another one from Prashant, right? They've added their own opinion on my article. In this case right now, you would use posts for this. Posts are great for content where you're expecting questions, you're expecting feedback from your audience. That's what you would use posts for. However, if I show you another, in this case right now, a page, this is basically the affiliate disclaimer page on my blog, where I say things like, hey, on my blog, I use affiliate links, I make money through affiliate marketing and so on. In this case right now, I'm not really looking for feedback from people. I'm just stating a fact that on my blog, I use affiliate links and I make money from affiliate marketing. So in this case right now, a page would be far more ideal than using a post. Other kinds of content where you would use a page would be things like the contact page, for example. In here, I've provided the form. If you want to contact me, come in here, fill out your name, email, and then send me the message and I'll receive that. There is no need for questions in here or things like that. So it's just basically a page where you can go there, fill out the contact form, and get in touch with me. Your privacy and policy page, for example, would be another example of where you would use a page and so on. But again, posts are for your actual articles where you're expecting feedback. Now, another great way to differentiate between pages and posts is that with posts, you can actually categorize them. You can put them in categories. As an example right here, you will notice that I have WordPress tutorials. I've got WordPress security. I have WordPress speed. Now, if I clicked on WordPress security, in here, I've got 3 articles or 3 posts that fall under the general topic of WordPress security. So again, if you're going to create content, you can ask yourself, all right, is this content that I can actually put in category because it touches on a topic that is similar to other posts? That way you know that, okay, I can use a post for this. But for pages, you can't categorize a page. A contact page is a contact page. It's not going to fall under any other kind of category, right? A privacy and policy page is a privacy and policy page. An about us page is an about us page, and so on and so forth. So that's another way to differentiate between pages and posts. With posts, you can categorize them. And in fact, honestly, over 95% of all your content probably would be posts, if not more. While for your pages, you would have maybe your home page, about page, contact us page, affiliate disclaimer page, privacy and policy page, and so on. So those are the 2 differences between pages and posts. Again, a very, very quick recap. With pages, you're not expecting feedback, you're not expecting comments, and you kind of categorize them. With posts, you want feedback, you want questions, you want to have a discussion, and you can also categorize them. So that's it. Jump into the next video where we'll now take a look at how we can create a page. I will see you then. Welcome back. So now that we know the difference between pages and posts, it is time for us to create our very first page. And to do that, I'm going to come down here to pages, click on add new, and let's add the about us page. So I'm just going to write about in here where you have the title, and that's it. You can write yours as about us, about me. It depends. I'm just going to write about, right? And then in here where you have the start writing or type, you can come in here right now and begin to type in the content for the page. So very briefly, I'll just say the Lone Nomad is a blog about traveling around the world. Welcome, my name is Alex. Okay. Very, very, very basic. Nothing much done so far. Now, you could decide to change the view for creating your pages. Basically right here, where you have the 3 buttons, if you click in there, by default, you have the full screen mode. But if I unchecked it and then go to top toolbar, now you will have access to your backend items again. But you'll also now have access to what we call the toolbar, where you can begin to make changes to the actual content, like make maybe the text bold, add your links, and so on. So it all comes down to your personal preference. I prefer the top toolbar, but you could check out the spotlight mode. You could check out the full screen mode if you're comfortable with those ones. I'll just stick with the top toolbar. All right, I'm gonna check outside. So this basically is all we have. We have the title, about, and then some text, right? I could decide to save this as a draft, come back later, make some more changes if I wanted to. I could click on preview and take a look at how the page would look like if it was published. And right now, as you can see, it's okay, nothing fanciful. I'll just go ahead and close this one. And then finally, you have publish. I can decide to publish the page right now and make it live on the internet if I wanted to. Now, over here, let me just make sure that you actually have access to document and block. If you don't see this too, just click on the gear button right here where you have settings. Click in there, and now you'll have access to document and then block. The difference between these two is that document would be the settings for the actual article itself. Do you want to make the article live? Do you want to add a featured image and so on? Block, on the other hand, will deal with the actual content inside of your article. In this case right now, this right here, this is a paragraph block, right? I've typed in the text, right? I could decide to come in here right now and add, where you have the plus button, I could add another block. In this case right now, I could add maybe an image. I could add a heading, gallery. So basically, blocks are like containers for different types of content. So when you come in here and you click on block, you will be able to make certain changes to that particular type of block. In this case right now, because I have selected the paragraph block, which deals primarily with text, on the block right here, I can change the size of the text if I wanted to make it large, add my custom size if I wanted to. I could change the colors, maybe make the text red, for example. I could change the background color for the text block if I wanted to, and so on. So that's basically the difference between block and document. We'll be dealing with block quite a lot. Let me just reset everything back and head back to document. So on the document, this deals with the actual article itself. First things first, we have the status and the visibility. Do you want to make this article public to the whole world? If you click in there, you have two other options. You could make it private so that it's only admins and editors that will be able to access the page, or you could even make it password protected so that only people that have the password will be able to view this page. And right here, you can add that secure password which people have to type in. So this could be ideal if you wanted maybe members or particular sets of people to be able to gain access to that page. Maybe your family, your best friend, something very, very private. You could use this particular option in here. But more than likely, you would want to make it public. So I'll stick with public for now. And then in here, you've got publish. You want to publish it immediately when you hit the publish button up here, or you could schedule. You could provide a particular date and time when WordPress will automatically publish the article for you. Now you've got pending review. If you have an editor that you would like to review the article before it gets published, you can come in right now, tick the box, and then your editor will go into the backend, and then he will see the notification that, hey, this particular page has been set to pending review. Then he or she can go in there, review the page before it now gets published. All right, I'll uncheck that one. Permalink, again, this refers to the URL structure. There is no need to change anything in here. You can see right now, this would be the default URL. You have the name of my website and then / and then the name, the title of the page. So this is perfectly fine. No need to change anything in here. You've got the featured image. This would be the image associated with the page. Now, an example here would be on my blog. Right here, you can see I've got my featured articles. These are posts, by the way, not pages, but it's basically the same thing. All these images in here are the featured images for each respective post. So that's how our featured images work. To be honest, most of the time you will not be dealing with featured images with pages. You'll be dealing more with posts. But again, it's all subjective. It all depends. Discussion. Now, if for some reason you wanted people to make comments on your page, you could allow comments for that particular page. One thing I didn't mention previously when I talked about pages and posts is that One situation where you could, one scenario where you could use a page for an article where you want comments could be maybe an essay. So maybe if it's a standalone article, it's all on its own, you could technically use a page and then allow comments for that page if you wanted to. So you do have that option, but very rarely will you ever need to do this, in my humble opinion. And then finally, the page attributes, which we'll talk about a bit later because this is a bit technical, but we'll get there, don't worry. So that's it for the document. Block, again, we'll talk about this much later. But let's head back to those 3 buttons in here where you have access to more tools and options. So I've talked about these views. You now have the editor as well. By default, you have the visual editor, but you have the code editor, which is, of course, for the nerds. So, if you know how to code with HTML, CSS, things like that, this might be more ideal for you. But I'm just going to stick with visual editor because it's much cleaner. Block manager. If I clicked on block manager, I will now have access to all the default blocks that comes with WordPress. Again, think of blocks as ways of adding different types of content. So you've got paragraph blocks, image blocks, headings, galleries, lists, and so on. In here, you could decide to uncheck the blocks that you will never ever use. In my case right now, I am not going to use the verse block. I will not use preformatted. Let me come over here to common blocks and see. I think all those I might use. Layout elements, widgets. Okay, I'll just leave all these as they are. Okay, I'm not going to use SoundCloud. I will not use Spotify. I will not use Flickr. I might use Vimeo. I'm not going to use the WordPress block. So I will uncheck that one. Twitter, I'm not going to use Twitter. Animoto, CloudUp. All these ones, I am not going to use them. So let me just go ahead now and uncheck them. Kickstarter, Meetup, Mixcloud. Man, there were a lot of blocks in here, which, Reddit, maybe. Reverb Nation, no. Screencast, no. Script, no. Oh, wow. TikTok, no. I don't use TikTok. Maybe you younger folks out there might be using TikTok. Tumblr, VideoPress, WordPress TV, Amazon Kindle. Geez, that was a lot actually. I did not prepare for this. Anyway, the good news here is that these blocks will no longer be available for us to use and will just make it easier for us to add content and manage our blocks in general. So I'll encourage you to untick any of these that you would not be using. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to go ahead now and simply close this. And back here, I still have access to manage all reusable blocks, which we'll talk about later. Keyboard shortcuts, guide, copy all content, help. We'll refer to this a bit later. Finally, we have options. So in here, again, you can choose to uncheck particular kinds of panels which you might not be using. Premier link, featured image, discussion. In my case, because I am never going to allow comments on my pages, I'm just going to go ahead and uncheck this particular panel because, like I said again, I'm never going to allow comments, so I might as well just disable the discussion tab completely. And I'll also go ahead and remove the instructor help panel. I don't need that one. And that is that. Okay, so finally I'm going to go ahead now and simply hit publish. And of course, confirmation, do you want to make it public? And would you like to publish it immediately? Yes, I'm going to go ahead now, hit publish. And there you go. I can now go ahead, view the page. And voila, congratulations, we have successfully created your very first page on WordPress. Now that I've shown you how to create a page with WordPress, it is time to take a look at how we can create a post. Now, creating a post is very, very similar. You come down here to posts and then you click on add new. Now, on the back end, for creating a post, it's very, very similar to that of a page, except for the fact that you now have access to being able to stick the particular post to the top of the blog, which I'll show you exactly what this means a bit later. And then over here, you can also write an excerpt, which is basically a short summary or a description of what the post is about. But then you also now have access to categories and tags. And if you remember when I said the differences between pages and posts, one of the differences is that with posts, you can categorize them while you cannot categorize pages. But what exactly is a category? What does it do? And what exactly are tags and how are they different from categories? I'm going to use my blog as an example once again. Now over here, you will notice that for the main menu, or even over here on the main page, I have access to WordPress guides, right? This is like a major headline or a category in this case. And then right here, I have access to WordPress speed. These basically are categories. I also have WordPress security. So all these articles you see under these headlines, they fall under the same topic, which would be, in this case, WordPress speed, in this case, WordPress security, and so on. So basically, a category is a way to group posts that have similar content discussing a very similar topic together. That's basically what categories do. So in my case right now, I could decide to, let me go over here and just add categories. So I've clicked on categories. So right here, I'm going to click on a category called South America. Okay. I'm going to go ahead now and add that category. Let me add another one, Asia. Let's add that one. And let me add one more, which is going to be Europe. Okay. So because my blog is all about traveling, I have now created 3 categories for travels around Europe, travels around Asia, and then South America. Now, you will notice that by default, WordPress has this uncategorized category. That's because a post on WordPress must belong to a category. If you don't choose a category for a post, WordPress would automatically assign it to the uncategorized category. But uncategorized is not the type of category you want to have on your WordPress website. So we have to get rid of it. So what exactly I'm going to do here is I'm going to head down to settings. And I'll go to writing. And then right here, where you have default post category, let me change this to Asia instead, okay? Save changes. And now if I go back to posts, categories, now I can go ahead and delete this uncategorized category. You can delete a category when it's the default. That's why we had to switch from uncategorized to Asia as the default. And now we can come in here and delete uncategorized. Okay. So moving forward right now, every time we create a new post and we don't assign that post to a category, it will be assigned to Asia automatically. So right now, if you're building a real website, I will encourage you to spend some time, think about the categories for your posts. If you're writing a blog about cooking, for example, you could have a category under, let's say, recipes, for example. You might have one under, or let's even say your entire blog is about recipes, right? So you could have maybe French recipes would be one category, Italian recipes would be another one, Thai recipe would be another one, and so on and so forth. So spend some time and create your categories. So I should also mention that you can create subcategories. So basically categories under one particular category. In my case, for example, let's say Asia, right? Asia it's a big continent with lots of countries. I can come in right now and create a category for Thailand. So basically any posts that are related to Thailand as a tourist destination, they will fall under the subcategory of Thailand and then under the main category of Asia. So I've added Thailand, and then right here where you have parent category, I can simply choose Asia. I can go ahead now and add the new category. Let me do one more. I'm going to add Russia. And I will make this Europe, add the category. And let me just add one more for good measure, Brazil. And of course, this will be under South America. Let's go ahead now and add a category. And there you go. So I just want to point that out. You do have the ability to create subcategories under categories. Okay. What about tags, right? By now, you know what categories are. They basically allow you to group content together under the same topic, right? But what exactly are tags and what do they do? Tags are a way for you to associate particular words with a post. As an example, if I come in here right now and I go to, let's go with WordPress security, right? 6 best WordPress security plugins. I click in here. Now, a tag I can use for this particular post would be something like, I could use 6 as a tag. I could use best WordPress security plugins as another tag. I could use tags like word fence, which is a topic in this post. I could use tags like Akismet, security, and so on. The idea, once again, is that tags are like keywords that describe what a post is about. So that if a user was to go to my search bar, for example, and then type in a word like, let's say, word fence. They type in word fence, they press enter, boom. WordPress will automatically pull every post that has word fence as a tag. In other words, it makes it very, very easy for users to quickly search for content on your site. Now, you might think that this is wonderful, this is very, very good, which, yes, it's actually good. However, the truth of the matter is that tags have been getting a lot of hate recently. Personally, I don't even use tags on my blog, and the reason is because tags have been known to create duplicate content issues. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google and other search engines, they hate it when they find duplicate content on your website. Google expects that every content on your site should be unique. So here's the problem, right? If you start creating tags, in this case, for example, if I created a tag for word fence for this particular post, when Google comes to my site and then audits my site, it will see this post, the 6 best WordPress security plugins. It will see that word fence is part of the content, right? Okay, awesome. But also, Google will now see a tag called word fence, and then when it explores that tag of word fence, it will see this exact same post pop up again. Now, Google has no way of knowing that, oh, this is a tag that belongs to this post, which I have already identified, so it's not exactly duplicate. Google doesn't think like that. So the problem here right now is that Google could be confused into thinking that, oh, you're simply creating the same content twice, when in reality it's just the exact same post. So the point I'm trying to make here is that I would recommend you don't use tags on your website to avoid duplicate content issues. If you're going to use tags, probably maybe 2-3 tags per post, nothing more. But again, I would highly recommend you don't use tags on your WordPress post. Play it safe, use categories, and if you create yourself a very good navigational system, which of course I'll show you how to do so later on, your audience, your subscribers will be able to find content easily. So don't worry about that. I would recommend once again that you don't create tags. All right, let me just go ahead now and exit this. So let me just point out that by default, because I am hosting with WordPress, WordPress has automatically created a sample post, which is hello world. And if you view the post, you can see right here is just some text, welcome to WordPress, and then there is a reply. There's a comment as well, which is all just very, very generic. So if you've hosted with SiteGround, you might see this. If you're hosting with another company, you might not see a sample post, but don't worry, because in the very next video, I am now going to show you how you can create your very own WordPress post. I will see you then. Now, previously I said we were going to create our very first post, but since we're going to be working with images, I think it's best I introduce you to the media library first before we create our post. So right here, you have access to the media library where you can upload your videos, images, files, documents, and so on. I'm going to click on library, and as you might guess, it's empty because nothing has been uploaded so far. Let's change that. I'm going to go ahead now, click on add new. I'll click on select files, and then right here, I do have some images, but I also have a PDF file and a video. Now I'm going to go ahead now and I will select the video, and I will select these 2 images specifically, and then also the PDF document. Now, in all honesty, I'm not going to work with the PDF document at all, but I'm just uploading it just to show you that it's possible to upload PDF files. You can also upload Excel files, Microsoft Word files as well. You can pretty much upload most types of files, MP4s, MP3s, and so on. But there are other types of files that you cannot upload. So WordPress will notify you if the particular file you're trying to upload isn't compatible with WordPress. But for most kinds of files, JPEGs, PNGs, MP4, MP3, and so on, you'll be fine. So you can see right now that it is taking some time for the images, the document, and the video to upload because the video is a bit heavy. It's almost 100 megabytes. And speaking specifically about videos, I would very strongly recommend that you don't upload videos to your media library. I know I am uploading mine, but again, this is just to show you that it's possible. Ideally, you want to upload your videos to external sites like maybe YouTube or Vimeo, and then attach the link or provide the link to that video in your post. It's much better that way. All right. And there we go. So we've got two images and we have a PDF file and then we have a video. Now, if you're uploading real images to your site as you're taking this lesson, please don't upload more than two, because when it comes to uploading images and working with images, there are several things that you need to be aware of, which I'm going to discuss later. But for now, just upload two videos to work with when it comes to creating the post. And there it is. All right, so in here, you do have access to the list view where you can see all the documents you've uploaded. And then right here, you've got the grid view where you see them in this particular style. And of course, you can sort by audio, video, documents. You can sort by the date you uploaded them. And you can also do like a bulk select where you choose more than one particular kind of file. And then you can choose to delete them permanently if you wanted to do so. We will be working with the media library as we progress, but this was just a very small general introduction to the media library and how to upload files. So join me in the very next video where we will now use our two images to create our very first WordPress post. I will see you then. Just want to give you a very quick update. I have provided you with all the images we're going to use in this course, and you will find images in the resources folder attached to this lesson. It's going to be called images. It's going to be a zipped folder. So simply download the folder and then extract the files. And these are what you should see. And then you can simply just click and drag and then drop all the images into your media library. So by the time you're done, you should have the images that you're looking at right now on the screen. We're going to use these images to build our website. We're going to use them for our posts as well and for some other kinds of content. So please go ahead and do that, and I'll see you in the next class. Alrighty, it is now time for us to create our very first WordPress post. And to do that, I'm going to employ the use of the lorem ipsum generator. Basically, this is a way of generating sample text that we can use to build our site. So you can go to lorem ipsum generator, and this will bring you to this particular page. What I'm going to do is I'll simply go ahead now and generate two paragraphs. So I'll click on generate and then click copy. Okay. And then from here, I'm going to head back in here. Let's go over to posts, click on add new. And now for the title, this is where we now need to begin to apply some SEO techniques, some search engine optimization techniques. Whenever you're choosing the title for your post, try to include the keywords or the key phrase that you're targeting. In this case, I am going to say hiking to Mount Fitzroy. All right. Now, the two images I had in my media library, those are images of Mount Fitzroy. It's actually in El Calafate in Argentina. I was fortunate enough to go there last year, 2019, and it was amazing. It was really, really awesome. If you love hiking, I would highly recommend that you go there. It's simply beautiful. So the reason why I very specifically said hike to Mount Fitzroy is because if people go to Google and are looking for content about hiking to Mount Fitzroy, it's very likely they will say hiking to Mount Fitzroy or something like that. So I am using those keywords specifically for my title. So this is your very first SEO tip. Try to use the keywords that you're targeting in the title of your post. Okay, fine. Right here, by default, WordPress would have the paragraph block ready for you. So you don't have to click on the plus button right here and then choose our paragraph right here. You don't have to. You can just simply come in here and begin typing, or in my case right now, simply paste the 2 paragraphs I've copied from the lorem ipsum generator, right? So right now, if I click on the first paragraph, notice that over here to the right on the block, it says paragraph. If I scroll down here and then I click on the second paragraph, you can see again right here it says paragraph, right? Now, how do we add an image? I'm going to add one of my images, and to do that, I'm going to click inside of my very first paragraph, and then right here, you will see the plus button asking you to add a new block. So I can add a block for my image. I'm going to click on add block, and then right here, you now have access to different kinds of blocks. We're dealing with an image specifically. So I'm going to click on image right now, and then right here, we now have the option. Do you want to upload an image from your computer? Would you like to upload from media library, or would you want to insert from a URL? I'm going to go with the media library. And then right here, I'm going to click on media library. And then right here, I now have access to the 2 images. I'm going to go ahead now and choose the very first one right here. And I'm going to go ahead now and select. And there you go. Now, notice I can write a caption for the image. So I can click in here right now and then say, haha, that's me smiling, ... just, yeah, whatever. All right, so that's the caption. And there you go. So again, just like with the paragraph block over here to the right, you can customize the content. In my case, for the paragraph blocks, there is no need to change anything in here. I'm not changing the color. I'm not changing the background color. I'm not changing the size. For the image right here, I could decide to add what is known as an alternative text, which is also great for SEO. The reason why alternative text is wonderful is because people who are blind, they use tools like screen readers, for example, right? When the software gets to your image, it has no way of describing what the image is about by, describing, what's in the image. What it will try to do is to read the alternative text for that image to the blind person. That's what it's used for, and Google loves it when you use alternative text on your images. So in my case right now, I'm going to say a picture of me at Mount Fitzroy. Okay, that's good enough. And then right here, you can choose the image size, thumbnail, medium, large. Remember that I said when we're discussing our WordPress settings under media, when you upload an image to your media library, WordPress automatically will create 3 other versions of that image, which would be the thumbnail size, medium size, and then large size. And of course, you'll still have access to the original full size of the image. So in this case right now, I'll stick with large because large is good enough. And then right here under advanced, I can add additional things like a title attribute and add some CSS, but we're not going to worry about that for now. This is all we are interested in. Okay, that's basically it. We have our title, we have 2 paragraphs, and we have an image with a caption. Wonderful. Right now, I'm going to click on document over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on featured image. And then right here, I will select my featured image, which will now be the actual image of Mount Fitzroy without me in there. Let me set that image. Right here for the categories, I am going to select South America. And we don't have Argentina because, well, El Calafate is in Argentina. So let me go ahead and add a new category. Let me just call this one Argentina. And then I'll select the parent category as South America. And then let me uncheck South America and just choose Argentina. You don't want to have the parent category and the child category selected. Just choose one category, which would be, in this case, the child category. So Argentina selected. And there you go. All right. One thing I should mention before we hit publish is that your content for your post should have something called headers. Basically, H1s, H2s, all the way to H6. What am I talking about? Think of headers as like topics within your particular article. So in this article where I'm talking about hiking to Mount Fitzroy, I could have a topic like getting to Mount Fitzroy, the weather in Mount Fitzroy, and things like that. So let me add my very first header, and I'm going to do so by clicking on the plus button over here. And now I have access to the heading block. I'll click in there, and let me add the very first topic, getting to Mount Fitzroy. Now I'm going to push this to the beginning. So up here where you have the move up button, I'll click in there, and now getting to Mount Fitzroy is now on top. Awesome. But notice that over here to the right where we have block, the level H2 has automatically been selected. These are the 6 headers that you can work with in WordPress, H1 all the way to H6. H1 is reserved for the title of your post, and you never want to have more than one H1 on your article. So H1 is reserved for the title, which is of course hiking to Mount Fitzroy. And now the major topics in this article will now be H2s. If I was going to have like a subtopic under getting to Mount Fitzroy, I will use an H3 and so on. 99% of the time you will be dealing with H2s and H3s. H4s are extremely rare. There might be certain situations where you want to have a subtopic or something like that. H5 and H6 are almost never used. They're there, but they're almost never used. So once again, you want to have your H2s and your H3s in your articles because they provide structure, and try as much as possible to never skip. Don't skip H2 and start using H3s instead. No, go with the hierarchy. H1 is your title, start with an H2, and then if you need to create subtopics, then you can use the H3 tags for those. We'll talk about that a bit later, but I wanted to introduce you to the headers. So this looks pretty good. We have 2 paragraphs, we have a topic, we have an image with a caption. I'll go ahead now and simply hit publish, and there you go. Let's hit publish, and voila, let's go ahead now, view the post, and there it is. We have the featured image, we've got the topic right here, getting to Mount Fitzroy, the paragraph, we have an image with the caption, and then we have the second paragraph. So congratulations, we have successfully created our very first WordPress post. Now let me show you how you can import posts from another website. I have provided you with an XML file in addition to the images that you've already extracted to your media library. Now that XML file actually represents all the posts that I created on another site. So to make use of that file, what you want to do is you want to come down here to Tools and then go to Import. Okay, click on Import, and then right here we're importing a WordPress file. So I'm going to click on Install Now under WordPress. So Install Now, and now I'm going to run the importer, and now it's going to ask, okay, where is the file that you'd like to upload? So you can choose the file right now. Simply choose the XML file that I provided for you. I'm going to move and drag the file over here. So once you've uploaded the file, just simply click on Upload File and Import. And now you will have to select your user as the author of this post. So I'm going to say yes, that's me. Now download and import file attachments. These work best when the images have, when the posts have featured images attached to them, but mine don't. So I'm not going to check this box right here. I'm simply going to click on Submit, and there it is. Automatically, you're going to see posts on your WordPress website. It shouldn't take too long, about 10 seconds. So let's just wait for a few more seconds, and there it is. You can see right now, all done. Now, if you were to go to posts, you click on all posts, you should see about 9 different posts. Also, notice that 3 of them are in Asia. We have visiting a Buddhist temple, Magical Singapore, and then I visited Chiang Mai, and then Europe, you have 3 as well, and then South America, you have 3 other posts. So 9 posts in total. Also, if you were to edit any one of the posts, for example, visiting a Buddhist temple, I want you to attach a featured image to that post. So right here on the right, just click on remove featured image and then click on set featured image, and then you can choose any one of the images to represent your post. I'm going to go with the one right here and then set the featured image, and there it is. So I want you to do that for the 9 posts that you now have on your site. And when you've chosen the featured image, simply go ahead now and hit update, and there it is. So please go ahead right now and download the XML file I provided for you, upload it, get your posts, and then assign the featured images that you want to those posts, and then update them. And there it is. Thank you for watching. I will see you. Oh, by the way, my apologies. If you wanted to do the opposite, okay, like export your post to another website, you simply go back to tools, and then instead of import, you now say export. Okay, so you click on export, and now here you can choose, okay, do you want to export all the content on your site, or maybe specifically posts? If you were to choose posts right now, you can choose, okay, all categories, or from a specific category. You can choose from a specific author, and so on. And then you simply download the export file, and the export file is the XML file that I gave you from another website. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Alright, so we're about set to begin adding some more content to our website, but before we do that, I want to talk about images and how you should manage them, because images are very, very important. They constitute plenty of the content you will have on your website. Well, of course, that depends. If you want to use purely text, you could do that, but most websites rely heavily on images, and it's important that you understand how to work with images on your WordPress website. Now I'm going to come down here to media, and let's explore the Mount Fitzroy image I have in here. You've got some information, right? You can see right now that the file name is Mount Fitz, but then take a look at the file type. It is a JPEG, not a PNG, not PNG. This is very, very important because typically you want about 98% of all the images on your site be JPEGs and not PNGs. The reason is because JPEGs are smaller in terms of the file size. They're smaller, and as such will load faster than PNGs. PNGs are heavier. They are of better quality, yes, but they are heavier, and as such will take just a little bit longer to load. So for 1 or 2 images, that might not make much of a difference, but then if you start adding images to your website, your content begins to grow, those extra milliseconds it takes to load each PNG image will eventually add up. So as good practice, make sure that whenever you're uploading images to your WordPress website, they are JPEGs and not PNGs. The one situation where you might want to use a PNG would be for your logo. And the reason is because PNGs also have the transparent background. So typically you'd want your logo to be on your navigational bar at the very, very top, like what I have over here. So if you use a JPEG, there is a possibility that the logo will not blend into its background. Right now, I'm using a PNG for my monkey logo right here. And to prove this, let me try to change the background very, very, very quickly for the header. So right here, it's black. If I went with red, for example, you can see that the image still blends in. If I go with gray, you can see it still blends in. If I go with blue, as an example, you can see it still blends in. If this was a JPEG, it will have its own background, which would be either white or black, and it would not look quite as nice. So for your logos, you can use PNGs, but for any other kind of image on your website, it's highly advisable that you use JPEGs. Okay, that's the first thing. Second here is the file size. Now, notice that my file size here is 570 kilobytes, and this is not good. This is quite big. Ideally, you want your file sizes to be less than 100 kilobytes. So one way how I could reduce this file size would be to reduce the dimensions. Right now, it's 2048 by 1365. This is very, very, very large. I'm sure I could bring this down to maybe 15 by 800, and the file size will not be quite as large. So ensure that whenever you're uploading images to your media library, they're less than 100 kilobytes. In fact, if you can make them smaller, by all means, make them smaller. That's another thing you should be aware of. Now, a question you might have here is, Alex, what exactly would be the optimal dimensions for my images? That's a very difficult question to answer because a lot is going to depend on how small or how large you want to actually display the images. For example, over here in my blog, notice that the images in here are quite small. This is roughly about, let's say, 400 pixels by 270 maybe. But then over here on my Academy, notice right here that images are displayed a lot larger. So it's going to depend on how you choose to display your images. Do you want to display them in small containers or large containers? So for now, that's going to be a question we'll reserve for the future. Once we've chosen the design for the website, we have our content, then we can decide on the optimal dimension. So we'll worry about that later. But again, good practice, try to ensure that the file size is less than 100 kilobytes and that you're using JPEGs. One final thing to mention is that your images should also have the alternative text. I've already talked about this earlier when I said alternative text is great for SEO. So make sure that all your images have a description of what that image actually is by adding the alternative text. And then also for good practice, ensure that your images have good titles as well. So rather than using generic names like K9, QV, 9, 10, whatever, just make sure that your images have real titles that give some context where the image is, and of course the images have alternative text. Okay, one final thing to mention is that you can also edit images directly on your WordPress backend. So when you choose an image, over here you will have the edit image button. You can click in there, and now from here you have the ability to scale down the images right here. As you can see, I can scale them down if I wanted to. So I could bring this down to 1920 by 1280. And right now, of course, the image would be smaller. You can crop the images as well. You click on crop right now, and then you simply choose which part of the image you want to crop, and then you do the business. You can rotate left if you want to, rotate right, flip vertical, horizontal. You have those options in there. And then, of course, right here, if you decide that, you know what, I've tampered with this image and I don't like what I'm seeing, you can simply come in here right now and restore the image to its original size if you wanted to. So you could make some changes to your WordPress images from the WordPress backend. So that's it for image management. Join me in the very next video where we'll now begin to add some content to our website. Let me now take some time to walk you through the Gutenberg page builder. What exactly is this Gutenberg page builder? Well, it is what I use to create this post with the image, the text, and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the title right here to go to the actual post, and then up here I'm going to go ahead now and simply click on edit post to visit this post all over again. The other way to go to the back end for a post is simply to go to all posts, and then right here you will see edit. Okay, so I'm going to click on edit right here, and this will bring me back to the exact same page. So that's another way how you can edit a post that's already been published. Okay, so what exactly is this Gutenberg page builder? Well, it is what we use for adding blocks of content, whether it's images, videos, text, and so on. And the Gutenberg page builder is actually new. Up until about a year and a half ago, it didn't even exist. We used to use something known as the classic editor, but it was kind of limited in that you could only add text, images, and you couldn't really do things like add columns with it unless you sought help from plugins, which we'll talk about a bit later. The point being here that with Gutenberg, you can now create actual real content and apply structures as well on your posts. So how exactly does it work? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to scroll all the way down here. Okay. Now I'm at the end of this post. Over here, I have access to my toolbar. And this is because remember, I chose the view. I chose the top toolbar view. Now, if I uncheck that one and I go with maybe the full screen mode, I won't have access to the remaining functionality in the toolbar. So if you want access to all the functionalities, go with the top toolbar instead, and now you'll have access to these functionalities in here. All right. Over here, the way it works is that you simply click on plus to add a new block. And then when you do that, you now have access to a wide variety of different blocks. Under most used, you'll have your paragraph blocks, your headers, gallery, audio, and so on. And then under common blocks, you will have pretty much the exact same thing, but with lists, you will have file, video, and so on. Let me close that one. Under formatting, you can now format your content as maybe code or quote, add them into a table and so on. You've got layout elements where you can add columns, buttons, and so on. And then you've got widgets, which we'll talk about a bit later. And then you've got embeds where you can embed videos from YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, Instagram, and so on. So the idea is that you simply go there to plus, choose whatever content you want to add, and then add it. So in this case, let's go with gallery, for example, right? I've clicked on gallery, and now I'm being prompted to upload images to the gallery. I'm going to go to the media library, and let me just choose this two as an example, okay? Create a new gallery, insert the gallery, and now there we go. So over here to the right, remember that whenever you're working with a block, you will have access to modify the content inside of that block. And depending on the kind of block you're working with, you will have access to specific kinds of functionality. So because we're working with a gallery, in here, we could change the columns in this gallery. Now, it's two because we've chosen two images, but I could go with one. And now you can see we have one column where an image takes up an entire row. We could make it even smaller by going all the way. Actually, we can't go more than two columns because we only have two images. So we'll stick with that. You can crop your images if you wanted to. You could link the images to the media file itself or to a particular page if you wanted to. And then, of course, the image sizes, you have access to all of these. If I chose the paragraph block, you can see the settings here have now changed. In here, I can deal with font size, color, and so on. So again, it all depends on what block you choose and the content within that block. All right. Up here, I've talked about adding new kinds of blocks. I could choose to undo an edit that I've made if I wanted to, or I could redo that edit. That's what these two do. In here, you have the content structure information. So if I click in there, it will tell me everything about the post. How many words are included, how many headings, how many blocks, how many paragraphs, and so on. So this is useful if you want to just have at a glance how much content is within your post. And then in here, you can navigate to blocks within your content very, very easily. You have the edit button chosen by default in here, or you can go with the select navigation and just simply select particular blocks that you want to work with. But in most cases, you will be working with the edit tool anyway, so you might not need to change this all that much. Now, in here, of course, you can change the position of your blocks. You can either move them up or move them down. All you have to do is select the block by clicking inside. So for example, if I wanted to move this image up, I would click on the image, and now I can choose to move the image up or move the image down. So you select and then you push either up or down. Now in here, you will have access to special functionality depending on the block. In this case right now, because I'm working with the image block, I could change the block style from the default to rounded. And now you can see that my image now has a rounded design. Let's go back in there. I could also choose to transform this particular block to similar blocks. Notice that I could transform it to a gallery because gallery deals with images. Cover also deals with images. I could convert it to a file because an image could be a file. I could convert it to a group or even media and text. So again, it's going to depend on the kind of block that you choose. Let me give you another example. Okay, if I clicked on the first paragraph block in here, and then if I came in here right now, notice the kinds of blocks I could transform the paragraph block to. I could transform it to a header, to a list, to a quote, or even group it, because these three also deal with text. You will not see the option to transform text to an image now, because text and image are not the same thing. So again, depending on the kind of block you're working with, you'll have access to specific kind of functionality in here. While I am within the paragraph block, I have access to aligning the text either to the left, the center, the right if I wanted to. I could make the text bold if I wanted to. I could make it italic. I could add links as well, both internal and external. And then for the drop-down arrow, I have access to adding inline code. I could change text color as well if I wanted to. So let's say, for example, I wanted to change the color for Mount Fritz specifically. I would first of all select it, go in here, click on text color, and now I can choose any of these colors, or even click on custom color, which will bring out this block, and then choose a particular variant. And yeah, I'm just going to go with this one. And let me click outside. And there you go. So now it now has this particular color. That's how that one works. Over here, I could also choose to duplicate a block if I wanted to. So if I click duplicate, now I have the duplicate of the exact same block. I'm going to remove this by going back in here and then simply remove the block. And if I go back in here again, I have access to inserting blocks before this particular one or after. If I wanted to, I could edit the block as HTML. Now, if I click in there, now you will see the actual real HTML code behind the scenes. If you're familiar with HTML, then you will understand what's going on in here. If you don't know HTML, don't bother, don't worry. Just stick with editing visually and you'll be fine. Let's go back in here. I could choose to add particular blocks to what we call reusable blocks. The point being here that if I like the content I've created and I like the styling and I want to use that same block on another post, I could save that block as a reusable block. So as an example, I'm going to click on add to reusable blocks and let's give it a name of a special header block. I'm going to go ahead now and save it, and we will take a look at that a bit later. If I go back again to the more options tab, again, I could choose to group this block with other blocks if I wanted to, or just remove the block if I don't have any use for it again. So pretty much that's the introduction to the Gutenberg page builder. The point here again being that you simply click on the plus button right here. You add a new block, add some content, modify the content if you need to, and basically create content. That's how it works. I'm going to go ahead now and simply update this post. All right. Now, if I wanted to add a new post, I'll click on add new. Okay. And now in here, let me show you how I would add the reusable block, which we just saved previously. I'm going to go back in here, click on plus, and then down here, I will now have access to a new category called reusable blocks because we've created one. I click in there, and now I have the special header block. I'm going to click in there, and there you go. Now I have access to the exact same Mount Fitz header block. That's how you would work with reusable blocks. So that is it as an introduction to the Gutenberg page builder. Don't worry, we're going to be doing lots of creating lots of content with the Gutenberg page builder, so you will understand exactly how it works to the fullest extent. So that's it. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Welcome back. Hope you're enjoying this WordPress for Beginners course thus far, and we've come to a very, very important point where we're going to talk about WordPress themes. Now, when it comes to WordPress websites, there are two fundamental blocks. You have plugins, which we'll talk about later, and of course you have WordPress themes. What exactly are WordPress themes? Well, I'm going to use this analogy, okay? Let's say, for example, you wanted to build your house, your dream home, right? You have the money, But you just don't want to build any kind of house, right? You want it to be special. So what you do is that you hire architects, several of them. You tell them, hey, go and design my dream house for me and let me know what you come up with. So now these architects, they go out there and they begin to design, the house, and eventually they all come to you and they present their own unique designs. And then you decide, okay, I like this design the best. I'm going to go with this architectural design. Let's start building my dream house. Think of that house, your house, as your WordPress website, and then think of those architectural plans that the architects presented you as WordPress themes. So in other words, WordPress themes are like pre-built designs with functionality, with layout that you can just simply pick and apply to an existing WordPress website. Now, if you go to wordpress.org/themes, right here, you will have access to a whole bunch of themes, over 7,000 of them, by the way. And right at the very top, you will see we have 2020, 2019, and then 2017. 2018 should be somewhere around there, but I think this is based on popularity. Anyway, the 20 themes, 2020, 2019, 18, 17, and so on, these ones are designed specifically by WordPress themselves, okay? But then you also have third parties, developers out there who build WordPress themes also. One of which is going to be Astra, which is one of the most popular WordPress themes. You have Astra, you have Hello Elementor by Elementor. If you've never heard of them, they make a very fantastic page builder plugin. Check it out, it's awesome. You have Ocean WP, another very, very popular theme. You've got Neve, and so on and so forth. So right here, when you begin to take a look at the images of all these themes, you start to see differences, right? For example, if you take a look at 2016 and Go, 2016 looks more like a theme you would use for a regular blog. But then Go looks like a theme that you would use for like a personal branding, because right there you can see it says, "Hi, I'm Amelia, business coach and strategy consultant for small businesses." So basically you have themes that have been designed for different types of websites. Now on this page, if I go to feature filter, right here, you can filter based on the subject. So what kind of website do you want to build, right? Do you want to build a website for photography, for example? Let's go ahead, tick photography, and then I'll apply the filter. And now right here, you can see we now have themes that have been designed specifically for photography websites. You have shop entertainment, grid view, travel joy, and so on and so forth. So you can filter WordPress themes based on the subject. You can filter based on the features, the kinds of functionality that the theme provides you. Maybe the theme has inbuilt social media integration. Maybe it has the ability to do translations for you, and so on. And then, of course, layout as well. Do you have the ability to add 2 columns for your content, maybe 3 columns, 4 columns, and so on? So these are the various ways how you can select your dream theme, basically. Now, just to give you an idea of what themes can really do, I'm going to head over to my website. Now, the theme we're currently using right now is the default 2020 WordPress theme. If I go to the back end and I come down here to appearance, just a second, and then you'll see themes as the very first option. If I clicked on themes, right now you see I have 2020 and then I have 2019. Let's take a look again at the current site as it is. So this is the front page, and you can see the way it's designed. You have the category appearing at the very top. You will have the title of the post, and then the meta information, the author, the date it was published, number of comments. Then you have the featured image, and then you have basically the entire text showing up, right? If I go back in here and I switch from 2020 to 2019 by clicking on activate, you can see right now it says new theme activated, visit site. If I go back in here and I refresh the page, do you now see the massive difference? Right now the background has changed. It's now white. And right now you can see that the featured image is now projected a lot bigger. And you can even see that the images now have like a blue overlay, right? You can see all the images now have this blue overlay, and that's basically the design of the 2019 theme. So the themes you choose will determine to a very large extent how your content will be presented. But not just that. See, if I head over to the back end and from themes, I go to customize. If I click on customize, this is where you can now make use of certain functionalities. This right here is the customize panel specifically for the 2019 theme. You don't really have that many options. You have something called the site identity where you can change the title, the tagline, which you could also do on general settings, but you can add your logo right here. Okay, you can add your logo. Colors, you can choose a primary color if you want to, or you can choose a custom color. So for example, we could go with maybe something like green, and now you can see that the green becomes the overlay applied to the featured images. Not many options in here, right? So let's go ahead and let me close this. And I'm going to switch back to the 2020 theme. And let's see if the 2020 theme is any better. All right, I'm going to click on activate, go back to customize. So now for the 2020 theme, you begin to see we have a few more options. We actually have a new panel called the theme options, where you can decide to now show search in the header, which is the search bar right here. You can decide to not show it, and now it's gone. You can show the author bio if you want to, or you can also decide to show maybe the full text or maybe a summary of all the posts. So right now you can see, for example, on the front page, we're no longer seeing the 2 paragraphs, which is basically the entire content of each post, but now you're seeing a summary, which is usually the better option, right? So you can see right now that 2020 provides you with a bit more options. You have a cover template, you have the ability to add a background image as well, and so on. And even with the colors, you actually have a bit more options of being able to choose a header color. So right now the default is white, but if we go with black, for example, or maybe even orange, so basically you have access to a bit more options with the 2020 theme. Now in comparison, let me show you 2 other websites. This one right here is using the Ocean WP theme, which you can see right here, active theme Ocean WP. And right here, you can see this guy has a whole lot more options available, a lot more. There's another one here, which is the Astra theme, which also has a lot more options than the 2019 or 2020 themes. Not quite as much as the Ocean WP, but you still have access to a lot of options for customizing the look, the feel, and so on and so forth. Now, let me also just mention very, very briefly so that I don't take anything for granted. In the instance of the Ocean WP theme, where I have access to the typography panel, if I click in here, I have the options of customizing my H1 tags. Remember we talked about H1 tags, H2, H3. I can customize, for example, my H1 tag. I can give it a font family. So maybe I want it to be Arial, Times New Roman, whatever. I can change the font size, the color, and so on, and then simply apply those changes, right? What this does is that it basically will affect every H1 on my website. The changes you apply on your theme options, your customized options in here are universal. They will cut across your entire website. However, keep in mind that with the Gutenberg page builder, I've already shown you, you can also customize how your H1 would look like, how your H2s would look like, but those changes you make with the Gutenberg will be specifically for that particular post. It's not going to cut across the entire website. So if you've, or maybe one of your posts, you've designed the H2 to be red color, 34 pixels in size, and you like that design, you will have to apply those changes again on another post where you want to have the exact same design. That's the difference. With the Gutenberg page builder, the changes, the styling you make isn't universal. It's for that specific post. But with your theme options, when you come in here and you customize H1s, H2s, whatever, it cuts across your entire website. That is the difference. So one more thing I should mention before I round this up, I'm going to have another video about themes coming up. But one more thing I should mention is that when it comes to WordPress themes, you do have the option of going with free themes or going with paid themes. Now, paid themes obviously usually have more functionality, they have more features. You'd also have support from the developers of the theme. So if you have the money, I would always recommend that you go with the paid version of the theme. But if you're just starting out and you're trying to get your hands dirty, you're learning WordPress, going with a free theme is perfectly fine. But just keep that in mind that you do have paid themes and they're usually better than the free themes. So this has been an introduction to WordPress themes. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Welcome back. So now that we've talked about WordPress themes, it is time to talk about their partners in crime, which is going to be WordPress plugins. What exactly are they? What do they do? Let's go back to the analogy of the house, right? We've talked about WordPress themes being the architectural designs, the layout of the house. But like we said, this is a dream house, right? It's not just any ordinary house. We want to have a swimming pool, the latest security system. We want to have a tennis court, a mini theater, a bar, and so on and so forth. Now think of all these luxurious add-ons as plugins, because basically plugins extend and enhance the functionality and design of your WordPress website. Now, just like with your house where you want to go for the latest security system, with plugins, you do have plugins that specialize in security that can protect your website from malware, from hackers. You have plugins that can help you market your site. They're basically marketing plugins specifically for marketing. You've got plugins for collecting people's emails. You have plugins for moderating comments. Basically, almost any kind of functionality you can think of on a website, there is a plugin for it. And with over 57,000 plugins available, I can guarantee you that you will find a plugin for whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Now, I'm going to give you some examples of some of my favorite plugins. Elementor is one of them. And Elementor is basically the world's leading WordPress page builder. It's very similar to the Gutenberg page builder, which we will be working with, except for the fact that Elementor is way more powerful. It's a far more powerful page builder plugin than Gutenberg. Why are we not using Elementor? Don't ask. I do have another course. I do have several tutorials on how to use Elementor. Let's show Gutenberg some love in this course. So that's Elementor. You do have WooCommerce, which is basically the #1 plugin for creating online stores. So if you want to build an online store for selling services or products, you typically would go with WooCommerce. WooCommerce is just a fantastic, amazing plugin for creating and selling products. And then you also have these companies that specialize in creating plugins, that develop them. One of my favorites would be My Theme Shop. Now, My Theme Shop, they have this fantastic plugin for SEO, which is Rank Math. We will talk about that a bit later. But they have other kinds of plugins. For example, they've got plugins for writing reviews, plugins for shortcodes, plugins for real estate, content locker, which basically would lock access to content unless the user decides to share that content on social media. They have other examples. They have plugins for creating quizzes. They have plugins for creating notifications, for writing testimonials, and so on. So again, any kind of functionality that you can think of, there's going to be a plugin for it. Now, of course, in this course, we will be dealing with several plugins, but there are some things you need to be aware of when it comes to dealing with plugins. I probably will talk about this later on in this section for WordPress management. But just because plugins are available doesn't mean that you should just begin to install them all. No, you don't want to do that. You want to be very, very, very careful. We will talk about plugins a lot more, but I wanted to give you an introduction to what they are and what they do. Now, if you're interested, I do have an article on my blog, thewebmonkeyonline.com. The article is called The Guide to WordPress Plugins. And in here, I basically go very, very, very in-depth, discussing everything you need to know about WordPress plugins. It is very, very extensive. So if you're interested, I would highly encourage you to check out the article and read everything that you need to know about WordPress plugins. Again, we will talk about plugins a lot more in this course, but this particular article is very, very in-depth. It's very, very detailed. And it's an article that's guaranteed to provide you with all the knowledge that you need to know about WordPress plugins. So that's it for plugins. Jump in the very next video where we'll now take a look at something called sidebars and widgets. I'll see you then. Welcome back. So now that we've talked about WordPress themes and plugins, it is time to talk about WordPress widgets and sidebars. Now, unfortunately, I don't have an analogy to describe what these are, so let me just go straight to the point, okay? I'm gonna head over here to Appearance, and then I'm gonna click on Widgets over here in the back end. Now, you will notice that on the left, we have available widgets, we have archives, audio, categories, gallery, and so on. And then to the right, we have two sidebars. We have footer number 1, and then we have footer number 2. So what exactly are we looking at here? Basically, widgets are like blocks of content. It could be any kind of content. It could be text, image, audio, video. It could be a form. It could be anything. Those are what widgets are. Sidebars are now the containers or the locations on your website where those widgets can be applied to. So right now, by default, when you install WordPress, WordPress will provide you with its own widgets. The themes will determine which sidebars you have access to. Now, because we're using the 2020 theme currently on the Nomad site, we have access to two sidebars, footer number 1 and then footer number 2. So let's see where this information will be displayed. We have currently 6 widgets. You might be thinking right now that, okay, because these two sidebars are called footer number 1 and then footer number 2, it should only make sense that these widgets will be displayed at the footer of the website. So now if I go back to my site and let me just refresh this page. Okay, and then I scroll all the way down here, you will now notice the widgets being displayed in here. We have the search bar, recent posts, comments, categories, and of course our archives right there. That's because over here, this is where they've been displayed at. So let's make some changes, okay? I'm gonna remove meta by simply clicking and dragging to the left. I'm going to remove archives, categories. Let's also remove recent comments. So now we only have to search and recent posts. You don't need to save. This is automatic, by the way. Whenever you add widgets or you move widgets, it's saved automatically. So there is no save button when you're doing that. So if I go back in here and I refresh the page, now notice that in the footer, we now have access to only the search bar and recent posts. So there you go. Now you can see the relationship between widgets and sidebars. But let's go back to the backend because we have footer number 2. So I'm curious, where exactly will the theme display these widgets in footer number 2? Is it going to be side by side with the widgets in footer number 1, or will it be below the widgets of footer number 1? Let's try that, okay? I'm going to add a text widget. I'll click and drop it in here. Let's add a title of hello. And let me just type in some text. Hello, it's me. Now, for this, we do need to save. When you're working on the widgets inside, you do need to save. So let's save that one. Okay, let's also add, an image widget. Let's drop it in there. Let's add an image. Let me choose myself. Add to widget, and then let me save that one. Okay, there you go. So let's see exactly where these two will be displayed. Let's go back in here. Let's refresh the page. And now, right now you can see it's actually to the right. So it's not going to be below the widgets of footer number 1. It's going to be to the right of the widgets in footer number 1. So keep in mind that, again, the theme that you choose will determine the number of sidebars that you have access to. Let's take a look at another theme. This one is the Ocean WP theme. Now, this one has a default sidebar. It has a left sidebar, a search results sidebar. It has 4 sidebars in the footer. It also has a WooCommerce sidebar. So a lot depends, again, like I said, on the theme that you choose. If I go to another theme, this one is I believe this is the Astra theme. So Astra has a main sidebar. It has a header sidebar. It actually has a footer bar section number 1, a footer bar section number 2, and then it has 4 footer sidebars. I actually don't even know where this content will be displayed, but whatever. So again, the theme that you choose will determine the kind of sidebars that you have access to. Let's take a look at the actual Astra theme itself, because if I view a post on the Astra website, which is the moviecharacters.com, notice that on this post right here, there is a sidebar to the right where you have the recent posts, and then you have categories, you have archives, you also have like a tag cloud. Well, that's because over here, this is where those are being displayed. Right here, the main sidebar. The main sidebar has recent posts, it has a tag cloud, it has categories, archives, and so on and so forth. Now, going back to the widgets, keep in mind that when you install WordPress, WordPress by default has its own set of widgets. In fact, all these widgets you're seeing right now will be given to you by default when you install WordPress. However, when you begin to install plugins, some of them will now provide their own types of widgets. As an example, if I came over here to the Ocean WP website, notice there is a MailChimp widget right here. That's because I've installed the MailChimp plugin. So because the MailChimp plugin is activated, it's giving us the ability to add a widget specifically for MailChimp where you can display a subscription form. Notice there are other widgets like Instagram, social share, there is Twitter, there is Flickr. That's because we have some plugins that have already been installed to provide these widgets for us. So a quick recap, themes will determine which sidebars you have access to. The plugins will determine which widgets you have access to, but keep in mind that WordPress by default gives you its own set of widgets. And also in certain times, although it's a bit rare, themes can also even provide their own widgets as well. So it's not just plugins. Themes can also be customized to provide their own custom widgets for you to use. So that's basically it for widgets and sidebars. We will of course be working with them a lot more as we progress in this course. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Well, it is now time for us to choose our WordPress theme, and I have decided to go with the most popular theme of all time, and that's going to be Astra. Astra is a fantastic, highly customizable theme that you can use to build pretty much any kind of website, but it is most especially perfect for blogs and business websites. And it's right here, as you can see, wpastra.com. And yeah, it has been used by millions of users, and it is a very, very, very good theme. Now, there is also the paid version of the theme that would offer you more functionality, more features. But honestly, the free version, which we're going to work with, is extremely good and will provide us with plenty of functionalities for designing and creating our website. So to install Astra, I'm going to come down here to Appearance and then Themes. Okay, and then I'm going to go over here and say Add New. Okay, and then from here, where we're searching themes, I'm just going to say Astra. Search for Astra. And it's the very first one right here. I'm going to go ahead now and install. And I am now going to go ahead to activate the theme. And there it is. So once you've installed Astra, you should see the link right here, just beneath your dashboard link. You should see Astra, and you can click on Dashboard right now. And this will pretty much take you to the home page for your Astra theme within your WordPress website. And there it is. It is a very, very, very powerful theme. We're going to use this theme to build our website, and it's going to be fantastic. So go ahead, install Astra. Over here as well, there is a particular plugin that works very, very well with Astra when it comes to building our pages. And that plugin is the Spectra plugin. It's going to be right here, or if you're having issues finding the link for the plugin, well, let me quickly show you. This is the page right here. You can go to wpspectra.com. There is also the paid version of the plugin, but again, we're going to work with the free version of the plugin, and it is fantastic. It works great with Astra. So you can either just activate the plugin directly right here. You can just click on Activate over here, or what you can do is you can go over here to Plugins. You click on Add New. Okay, and then here you simply type in Spectra, and it's going to be the very first one you see right here, Spectra WordPress Gutenberg blocks. Okay, so go ahead, install, and then activate the plugin as well, and we are going to be almost ready to begin building our website. Jump into the next video where we'll now go ahead and build our main menu. Let me now show you how you can create the menus on your WordPress website. But before we do that, we need to create some pages for our site, and I have already gone ahead to create the 6 different pages. So I have blog, home, about, destinations, travel tips, and then contact. All these pages are empty, there's nothing in them. So please go ahead, create these 6 pages, publish them, and when you're ready, you can come down over here to appearance. You go to menus, and now this is where we can create the menus for our site. The very first thing will be to provide a name for the menu. So I'm going to go with main menu. This is going to be the prime menu at the top of our page on the right hand side next to the logo. So I've called it main menu, and then right here we can choose the location where we would like to display this particular menu. Now this is determined primarily by the theme that we're using. So you can see right now that the Astra theme offers us different locations. We have a location for the primary menu, secondary menu, off canvas menu, and so on. Some other themes may have even more locations, while most will have less number of locations. This one is going to be the primary menu. Okay, so I'm going to check the box, click on create menu, and now here we can begin to add the pages to our menu. So over here on the left, you should see under most recent all the pages you've created. But if you don't, you can go to view all, and then you will see all the pages right there. But I'm simply going to select all right now, select all, add to the menu, and there it is. Now we've got the 6 pages. However, the home page is kind of redundant on your main menu. This is old school, outdated web design. You should not have the home link on your main menu because your logo should serve as the link to your home page. People already know that, okay, if I'm on a site, I'm on a different page, I want to go back to the home page. If I don't see a link, all I will have to do is to click on the logo of the site, and it will take me back to the home page. Already by default, WordPress has it that our logo will point back to the home page. So having the home link on the home page, on our main menu rather, is redundant. So I'm going to click on the drop down arrow in here and then simply remove it, okay, because we don't need it. Now we can also rearrange our menu items. Simply click and then just drag, just rearrange if you want to. So I'm going to put blog first, put destinations second, contact is going to be last, and there it is. So we have blog, destinations, travel tips, about, and then contact. Also, just like with categories, you can create sub menus. So if you want the destinations to be under blog, simply just drag and then shift a bit further to the right, and now you will see the destinations is now a child sub item of blog. I can do the same thing for about, for travel tips, just shift it to the right a little bit, and there it is. So this is how you can create submenus if you wanted to, but I'm going to drag this back, and there it is. Okay, I'm going to go ahead now and save the menu. Okay, but now we're going to create a second menu for the footer. So I'm going to click on create a new menu, and for this one, we'll simply call this one the footer menu. Set it to be the footer menu down here as well. Click on create menu, and now let me show you how you can add custom links to your menu. The links on your menu don't necessarily have to be your pages all the time. You can also link to external sources. So right here, instead of pages, we can link to posts as well if you want to, or we can go with the custom links. This is what I'm interested in. So right here, I'm just going to add hashtag, okay, and for the text, I will name the first one in here virtual events. Okay, virtual. All right, virtual events. And now I'm going to add another one as well. This one will be the travel club. Okay, and then another one This will be group tours. Group tours, add that one, and then finally hashtag once again network. And there it is. I'm going to go ahead now, add that to the menu, and I am going to save the menu. And there it is. So if I wanted to update the main menu right up here, I'll just click on the drop down arrow and then choose the main menu and then click on select. And then I'll be able to update the main menu if I wanted to. You can also link your categories here as well. If you wanted to, you can add them to your main menu. But don't worry, I'm going to show you how you can actually display these menus on your site later on. But that's it. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. We're almost ready to begin building out the website. The last few things we need to do would be to come down here to settings and then go to general. I just want to show you that to keep up with the new updates to the course, I have changed the site title from Lone Nomad to Passport Travel, and I've also changed the tagline as well. You don't need to change yours. I'm just letting you know so that you don't get confused if you see Passport Travel instead of Lone Nomad, okay? Now, what you want to do though is you want to come down here to reading, okay? And then we're going to change our homepage display from the default your latest posts to a static page. Now what this does is that instead of WordPress automatically showing your latest posts on the home page, we're going to build our own custom home page with different types of content, different types of sections, and that page is going to be the home page that we created earlier. So I'm going to set home to be the home page, and then the posts page is now going to be our blog page. Okay, so go ahead, do this. Let's save the changes. And now from here, if you were to go to your pages, you will now see that blog has been assigned post page and then home has been assigned front page. Now, once you've gotten all the pages, we've created our menu, we have our posts. When you now go to your home page, this is exactly how it should look like, or something very, very, very similar to this. And by the way, let's do one more thing. I'm going to go back to the back end. And we'll come down here to appearance and then go to customize. Okay, we're going to change one setting with Astra. One of the things I love about Astra theme is that they provide you with plenty of options for customization, even with the free version of the theme. So what you want to do is you want to go to global, okay? And then you can go to typography. And then right in here, this, by the way, is very, very subjective. There is no best font or anything like that. Personally, I do like to use Montserrat as either as my header text or my regular text. So right here where you have base font, you can click on body font and then simply choose the particular font that you want to use. So instead of inherit, you can come in here and simply type in whatever font you want to use, like Montserrat, Anonymous Pro, and so on. And then you can do the same for the heading font as well. However, Astra comes with some presets. So you can see we've got the presets up in here, and there is a preset here that says you will have the heading for Montserrat, and then the font family itself for the regular text will be the Source Sans Pro. I do like this preset, so I'm going to go ahead now and choose this preset, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead now and simply hit publish, and there it is. I'm going to go ahead now and close this. Let's go back to the home page. And this is what you should have once you are done. So go ahead, get all of these things done, and join me in the very next video where we'll now go ahead and begin to create the header for our site. Welcome back. So now let's go ahead and build out the header. Right now, as it is, we do have the site title being displayed, and then we have the main menu on the right. It's not too bad, but we would rather have a logo as opposed to the site title being displayed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the customize button right here. This will take us straight to the back end where we can customize the header. So right here, you'll see header builder. I'm going to click inside. And then right here, you can see we have the structure layout for the header. We have the site title and logo on the left, and then we have the primary menu on the right. You do have the option to like drag these items around if you wanted to have like a different style for your header, but I'm going to go with the default. All right, so we'll simply have the site title and logo on the left, and then the primary menu on the right. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to add a black background color to our header. So I'm going to click on this gear button right here. Okay, click inside, go to design, and then right here we have background. I'm going to click inside and I'm going to go with color 9. This is going to be the black background color. So I'm going to choose that one. All right, let's go back. Now I'm going to click inside the site title and logo link in here. We're going to select a logo. All right, and you should see this logo available for you in the media library. I'm going to click on select, and then just make sure we're going to crop everything. So make sure everything is highlighted, crop the image, and there it is. Okay, so this is a little bit very large. Okay, so we're going to bring this down to, let me just check my notes right here, 250 pixels. Okay. So I've got 250 pixels for the width for the logo. All right, and right down here where you have the site title visibility, you want to uncheck all 3 of these. Okay, these are for desktop, for tablet, and then for the mobile. Okay, so we don't want to show the site title and visibility at all. And then site title and visibility, make sure these are all unchecked as well. Okay, that's that for the logo. Now on the design, if you wanted to, for some reason, you can add things like margins, and if you are indeed displaying the tagline or your site title in your header, this is where you could customize the color of the text. Just wanted to let you know. All right, I'm going to go back. Now let's go over to the primary menu, click inside, and then we're going to go over to the design, and then we're going to come down here to the menu color, and then where you have text link, I'm going to click inside and then choose white, and there it is. Then we're going to come down here to the menu font, click inside. What we're going to do here is we're going to change the format and make it all caps. Okay, so it's all capital letters right there. And then for the actual size, what we're going to do is we're going to increase the font size just a little bit to 18 pixels. 18 pixels. There it is. And then we're going to make it a little bit bold. So where you have inherit, I'm going to come in here right now and choose semi-bold for 600. And there it is. Okay, we're almost done. One more thing we do need to do though is we need to set the header to go full width. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to go back right down here where you have design. Okay, and now I'm going to go with full width, and there it is. Let's go ahead now, hit publish. Let's close this, and there it is. We now have our header all built up with the logo on the left and then the main menu on the right. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Alrighty, so now that we have the header built out, it is now time to begin to work on the home page. And we're going to build out the very first main section, which is going to be the banner. And this is what we're trying to accomplish in this video. We're going to have the main background image right there. We'll have the main tagline where travel means adventure. We'll have the 2 buttons, view the blog, contact us. And then notice that we do have the transparent header blending in with the background image. But the interesting thing here is that this particular transparent header is unique to the home page, because the other pages like destinations, for example, travel tips, all the other pages will keep the default black background color. So I'm going to show you how you can set up a transparent header specifically for the home page. Let me drag this away. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is to hide the home text here. We don't need to see that. So I'm going to click on home right here and then click on the I button to hide the text. Let's go ahead now and add our very first block, which will be the container block under Spectra. Choose the very first option, which is the 1 column layout. And then I'm going to come down here to container. Make sure container width is set to full width. Content width is set to boxed. And then for the minimum height, I'm going to set this to 750 pixels. Okay, 750. And then from here, We're going to go over here to style. On the background type, go with the third option, which is image. So I'm going to choose the Polynesian image right there, select, and there it is. I'm going to go ahead now and update. And let's just see what we've done so far. Okay, let's take a look. And there it is. Okay, all right, good start, good start. Let's keep on moving. Go back to edit page. Now I'm going to add the main tagline, where travel meets adventure. Okay, so you might not see it, but there's the plus button right here that says add block. So I'm going to click inside, go to browse all. We're going to choose the heading right there. Okay, and now we're going to type simply, I'm going to even use the capital letters, where travel meets adventure. Okay, all right. I'm going to go over here to style. We're going to make some changes. The color for the text, obviously, we're going to go with white. So choose white, FFFFFF, that's the hexadecimal value. And then for the actual size, we're going to come over here to typography. Click on the pen button right there. For the font size, I have gone very, very, very large. I have 100 pixels here. 100 pixels. And then the weight, we're going to set that one to 500. And then the style, we're going to go with italic. Okay. And then we're also going to align the text to the center. So alignment, make that one in the center right there. Now you would notice instantly that the text isn't that visible. I mean, it kind of like, for example, the adventure, which I've misspelled, all right, kind of blends in with the sand. So we need to add like a overlay dark color to the background image so that the text is a bit more visible. Okay, so I'm going to click on the container right now. Okay, we're editing the container. I'm going to head over back to style, and then right here I'm going to come down, and then you'll see overlay type. I'm going to go with the classic, and then where you have image overlay color, I'm going to click inside, and then for the hexadecimal value in here, I've actually chosen one. I do have 2020, and then 75, and there it is. So it's slightly reddish black in a way. I do like this particular shade, but feel free to go with your own shade of color if you prefer. And there is that. Okay, the next thing we're going to do right now would be to add our buttons. So right here you have this button in here inside the image. I'm going to click in there, go to browse all, and then you will have the buttons right here for Spectra. Let's choose them. And then what we're simply going to do is I'm going to click inside the very first one in here, and then just change the text. Make sure it's capital letters as well. I'm going to say view the blog, and then same goes with the second one, contact us. Okay, now to edit the actual blocks themselves, I'm going to go over here to style, and then typography, and then in here we can increase the size a little bit. Let's go with 18 pixels. Same goes with the second one as well. I'm just going to type in 18 pixels there as well. And then if you want to add the links, okay, let's go with the first one right now. You can simply go to general, and then down here where you have content, you can simply add the link right there. So I'll say / and then blog. Okay, and then you can also enable icons if you want to. For example, you can enable the icon. You come in here right now, and then you can choose whatever icon you want to go with, but I'm going to keep things very, very simple. No need for the icon. I'm going to go to contact us as well, and then also just change the link right here to contact -us, and there it is. I'm going to go ahead now and simply update. Let's view the page. And there it is. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. One more thing we need to do right now will be to set the transparent header so that it blends in with our background image. Now, how do we do this? I'm going to go back to edit page. And then up here on the right, you will see we have this thing called the Astra settings specifically for this page. So I'm going to click in there. And then right here, you could choose a particular kind of layout for your specific page. I'm sticking with the default in here, which is full width. And then right here, you have disable elements. If for some reason you wanted to disable the header or footer, you do have the options in here. But what we're interested in is under the advanced settings. So right here, I'm going to go with the transparent header. I'm going to say enabled. Okay, let's close that one, update. And now I'm going to view the page. And voila, that's it. We now have the transparent header right there. And we're going to make just 2 more changes real quick. The first thing I want to do here, though, is to change the actual font family for our main menu. Montserrat is fine, but I do prefer a different style, which would be Oswald. Okay, so I'm going to change my font family here to Oswald. And then secondly, we're also going to make the actual background image right here a bit more visible. The Kano, I don't know if you, I think that's what you call it, right? This very small shape right here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So in the model right here, you can see that the Kano right here is a bit more visible. On our website right now, you don't actually see much of the Kano. So we're going to make this a bit more visible. Now, how do we actually do that? Let's go back to edit the page. Okay, and then I'm going to come down here to the container again, container, under style, and then right here where you have the image position, you have left, you have top. I have tested this out and I do know that 63 for the left and then the top for 75 will actually show a bit more of the Kano. So feel free to play around with these options if you want to highlight a different part of the image if you wanted to. But I'm going to go ahead now, update, view the page real quick. And there it is. So we now have more of the Kano. And then last but not least, the main menu. Let's click on customize instead. So I'm going to change this real quick. Let's go over to our header builder, go to the primary menu, go to design, and then let's look for typography right here where you have menu font. Click inside, and then for the family, I'm going to go with Oswald. All right, I'm going to choose Oswald, and there it is. And then for the font size, we're going to keep it on 18, but for the font weight, let's try medium 500. That's actually a bit still too heavy. Let's go with normal 400, and there it is. So I'm going to go ahead now and hit publish. And voila, let's go back, and there it is. We do have the very first main section for the home page. We have our banner blending in with the transparent header. We have the main tagline where travel meets adventure, and then we also have our buttons: view the blog, contact us, and then of course for the other pages we'll still have the actual default header with the black background color. So that's it for building out the very first section for our homepage. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Alright, so let's continue building out the home page, and next up we're going to add our second section where we're going to add this particular kind of layout where we'll have a header, text paragraph, a button, and then we'll have an image on the right. And then for the second row, we'll simply have the reverse. So let's go ahead and build this out. Let's edit the page, and we're going to come down here to the back end, and then of course we're going to add a container yet again, but this time we're going to go with the 4 container or 4 column layout here. It's basically the 4th choice, so let's choose that one. So for the very first container in here, we're going to add a header, and my header basically says in capital letters, "We love to travel." And then let me just grab, I have some dummy text in here. Let's add the dummy text next. So make sure that you're adding the text inside of the container. You should have this plus button inside of the container. So please make sure that that's what you're doing. So I'm going to add a new block. Now, the interesting thing about the Spectra plugin is that it doesn't have a paragraph block, which I personally find to be very interesting. So we're just going to go with the default paragraph block provided by Gutenberg, and it's the very first block in here on that text. So I'll choose paragraph, and then inside I'm simply going to paste this dummy text in here. For the header, let's align it to the center. So right here, alignment, I'll choose center. And then finally, we're going to add a button. So again, we're going to make sure that we're adding it inside of this container. Okay, again, not outside, but inside. So click in there, and then we'll add buttons. And then we'll remove the second button because we don't need it. Let's remove that button. And then we'll just change the text in here to, let's say, learn more. In capital letters, by the way. So let's go with learn more. Okay, now over here on the right, we're going to add the image block. Let's go to our media library, and we're going to choose the one with the youths. I actually took this picture in Istanbul. This were university or college students. Now, this brings me to this particular issue which you may experience sometimes. When you're trying to upload an image with the Spectra image block, you may get this kind of error message telling you that the image has an empty alt attribute or something like that. I don't know what this is. I think it's maybe a bug. Hopefully, when you take this course, Spectra would have fixed, the developers of Spectra would have fixed the bug with a new update. But for now, there seems to be this particular issue. So what I'm going to do is to simply click on replace and then simply use the upload method instead. So just in case you run into this issue, instead of uploading from a media library, you can simply go to upload from your computer and you should be fine. So I'm going to upload that one. The other alternative would be to use the default image block provided by Gutenberg, but I do prefer the one by Spectra because it gives us a lot more options. So we have the image in here. Make sure the image size in here is set to full size. Okay, and then let's go back to the main container, and then right here where you have content width, we're going to go with full width. Okay, and then you go to style, go to spacing, and then where you have padding, we're going to remove all the padding and make the padding simply 0 pixels. All right, so let's go ahead now and do the same for the third and fourth columns. So the third column, again, we're going to go with image. I'm going to go with upload, and we're uploading this image, the bound fits. And then for the fourth column, again, we're simply going to add our heading, align to the center. This one I've written travel to the best places. Okay, and then again, we're going to add our paragraph text. Again, make sure you're adding the block inside of the container. So paragraph block, let me paste that one. And then finally, we're going to add our button. Again, make sure you're adding it inside of this container, which can be a little bit tricky sometimes. Okay, just click around, make sure that the plus button is inside of this container holding the header and the paragraph text. So plus and then buttons. Again, I'm going to click on the second one, remove the button, and then we're going to change the text in here to learn more. All right, and then of course that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead now and update, and let's take a look at what we currently have. Let's view the page and see what we have, and there it is. So not too bad. We can make a few adjustments, like the spacing, for example. We can get the images or the two rows a bit closer. So to achieve this, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to edit page. Okay, and then we're going to go to the main container. By the way, if you're ever having any issues trying to select a particular container or a column, don't forget you can use the button in here for the list view. You click in there, and then right here you can simply navigate and choose whichever container you want to work with. So in order to eliminate the spacing between the first and second rows, we're going to go over here to style. Okay, and then right here you'll see the row gap. The default value here is set to 20. We're going to bring this down to 0. Okay, and then next I'm going to click on the container holding the very first image, which is going to be the second container in here. I'm going to go to spacing, and then right here we're going to remove the padding. Okay, so the padding here is set to 0, and then we're going to do the same thing for the third container holding the second image. Padding in here, we're going to set this one here to 0, and that's it. So I'm going to go ahead now, update, and then view the page, and I'm going to scroll down, and there it is. So you can see right now it is pretty close. The images are pretty close together. You can actually make them join. You may not know this, but actually the columns, the containers are set to 48% each. Let me quickly show you. I'm going to go back to edit the page, open it in a new tab. So let me click on the first container in here. Let me use the list view. So container 1, if I was to go to container under general, you can see that the custom width here is set to 48%. Same thing with the second container, the third one, and the fourth one, and so on. This is deliberate in order to create some spacing between the containers. So you can actually go ahead and increase them to 50% if you wanted to, but I am going to stick with the default, which is 48%. One last change I want us to do right now is to actually increase the height of the very first main banner right here. We set the initial value to be 750 pixels. I want to increase it to 900 pixels because right now it really doesn't look that great. You know, we don't want people to see this banner and then begin to see the second section in here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go back to the very first container in here, and then 750 right here where you have the minimum height, we're going to set that one to 900. Let's update, and then you will see instantly it's going to be a lot better. And there you go. So now you can see it's a lot better, and we can even increase the height even more so that on the desktop view people won't even see the second section at all. All they will see would be the main banner occupying the full width and height of the screen. So you can do that. You can increase the height to about 950 or even 980 pixels, but we'll keep it at 950. One other slight adjustment we could also do, we could add some additional padding on the sides for the text blocks so that the text is a bit more organized. Let me quickly show you. So for example, I can go to the first container in here holding this text, and then we go to style, we go to spacing. Now the default here has been set to 10 pixels, but I am going to unlink the values, okay? And then for right, I'm going to increase this one to 30 pixels, okay? And then also for the left, we can increase it to 30 pixels as well. Let's do the same for the fourth container. Again, unlink the values, make this one 30 pixels, and then the last one on the left, make it 30 pixels as well. Update, and now let us view the page, and there you go. So right now you can see that the text is now slightly a bit more to the center. It's a bit more presentable than what it was initially. You could also align the text to the center if you wanted to, but I'm going to keep it as it is right now. So thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Welcome back. So let's continue building out the home page. And for the third section, we're going to go with a very interesting layout in here where we basically have 3 containers inside of one main container. However, the third container actually has 3 columns where we have these info boxes for featured destinations, travel guides, and then affordable tickets. So how do we create this kind of layout? I'm going to show you. Let's go ahead right now, and we're going to add the new container. We're going to go with the 3-column layout in here. Okay, now check this out. Okay, what I'm going to do is to simply go over to the flex properties for the parent container down here, and then when you have the direction, the default here is set to row. I'm going to go with column. So now you can see we have the columns stacking up on top of each other. So let me go ahead right now and simply add the very first block, which is going to be the title, our unique travel design. So let's click inside the first container in here, add our heading, and then I will paste our unique travel design. Let's align that to the center. And then for the second, we do have some text. Let me go ahead right now and add the paragraph text and then paste the block of text right there. And then last but not least, we do now have the third container that actually has 3 columns. So how are we going to achieve this layout? Well, first thing we'll do is to simply add the very first block, which is actually going to be the info box block. It's the one right here. So I'm going to add that. Okay. Now, before we add the remaining 2 info boxes, because we're going to duplicate this box, the very first one, twice, it will save us time if we actually made the necessary edits to the very first info box in here. So what I'm saying right now is this, okay? First things first, we're going to go over here to the select source for the icon. We're going to switch from icon now to image under general. Okay, so let me go ahead right now and upload the very first image, which is going to be this one right here. So we're going to select that, and then the title here is featured destinations. Let me go ahead and then click inside here and then change that text. Now for the color for this text, I actually have the value right here. Let me show you. We're going to go over here to style. So we're going to come down here to title, and then we're going to go with color. So the color I have here is DCA and then 57D. That's the color orange. Okay, and then we need to create some spacing between the image and the title. So one thing we could do is we could go to the icon image first right here, and then where you have padding, we can add some padding to the bottom. Let's go with something very, very simple. Let's say 5 pixels, and there it is. So now we're ready to duplicate this particular column twice. So I'm going to go over here right now, duplicate, and then duplicate one more time. Okay, so how do we now get them to align next to each other like in a row format? What we're going to do is we're going to go over here to the container holding these 3 info boxes, and then on the general where you have flex properties, we're going to switch from column to row, and there it is. Now we're going to need to extend the width from 33% now to 100%, and there it is. And then we'll just do the same for the second container in here as well. Extend the width to 100, and then the final container in here, the first one, set that to 100% as well. Let me make a few quick changes to the titles and the images for the info boxes. So let's go to general, image icon, change this image real quick to this one. And then let me change the text to travel guides. And then last but not least, we have affordable tickets. So let me paste that right there, and then also change the image in here to the tickets. And there it is. Okay, all right. Now for the main container right now, the parent one, we're going to add a background color. So we're going to go over here to style, and then type on the background. We're going to go with color. And then the color I do have in here is very, very simple. It is F8, F8, F8. And then we can also add some padding as well. Okay, so we'll come down here to spacing, unlink the values, and then we're going to give spacing 50 pixels on top, and then 50 pixels at the bottom. Let's go ahead now and update. And let's see what our page looks like. Open this in a new tab. Let's scroll down, and there you go. Not bad at all. There is one more thing we do need to do though, because the unique travel design has this very nice kind of like a separator line underneath. So let me show you how you can add this particular kind of effect. Let's go back. We're going to go to our unique travel design header right here, and then right here you'll see separator under general. So I'll choose separator. Style is going to be solid. Okay, and then we're going to go over here to style, and then we're going to come down here to separator, and then right now you can see we can extend the width, make it a bit wider. I think let's go with 43% should be fine. And then color, we simply go with the black color. And then for the spacing, well, we can reduce the bottom spacing in here to 0. Go to the heading as well, heading, and then reduce bottom spacing to 0 as well. Actually, 0 is a bit too much. Let's go with 5. Okay, so there's a little bit of some spacing in there. And there it is. There it is, separator. Let me just see if we can maybe make the thickness a little bit less. So we go with 1 pixel for the thickness. And there it is. Let's update. And let's refresh the page and view what we have one more time. And there it is, our unique travel design. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. The next thing we're going to do is to add an image carousel of images from around the world, basically. So it's going to be something like this. So let me go ahead now and add the container. All right, and then inside of this container, we're going to go ahead now and add the new block we're going to be working with, and that's going to be the gallery block. It's the one right here, image gallery. So I'm going to choose that one. Okay, and then we can choose the images for the gallery. So I'm going to click on select images. So the images we're going for, we're going to go with this first one right here, this one, and we're going to go with this one as well. We need 6 images. And we're going to go with the last 2 right here. We're going with these ones specifically because they do have similar height and width dimensions. So I'm going to go ahead now, click on create a new gallery. And there it is. I'm going to go ahead now and insert into the gallery. And there it is. Okay, so by default, we do have the grid type for the gallery, but we're going to go instead with the carousel. Okay, and then we're going to go with 2 columns instead. And then right down here where we have carousel, right here, we can go with the starting image of 2 images first. Okay, and then the transition speed in here is 500. We can keep that as it is. And then you can also modify other things like the infinite carousel, display the dots, display the arrows, which we're actually going to disable. I don't want to display any arrows at all. And then if you got captions, you can also enable captions as well. So basically when somebody hovers on the image, the caption will pop out. But my images don't have any captions at all. So I'll just go ahead right now and disable the captions. But if your images do have captions, you can allow them to be displayed. Okay, next up, we're going to go over here to style. All right, and then in here, we do have the effects where we can do things like zoom out as opposed to zooming in. You can enable a blur overlay as well, so you can add like a blur amount to your images, which I don't really know if I like that, so I'm going to disable the blur effect. And then in here we do have the grayscale effect, where the images will be black and white until the user hovers on the image. That's when the color will come out. And then you've got the sepia effect as well. So all these options, you do have them. I'm just going to go with none for now. And then down here where we have spacing, we're actually going to remove the gap between the images, so no spacing at all between the images. We're going to choose now the main container holding the gallery, and gonna, of course, make sure that the content width right here is set to full width. Okay, so container width and then content width are both set to full width. Let's go ahead now and update, and let us view the page. Let's see what we have. All right, scroll down, and there it is. That is our image gallery right there, displaying images from across the world. And very simple, very easy to create. And again, you do have access to other options or other ways of displaying your images. You can display them in a grid format, you can display them in a carousel format, and so on. So going back in here, you've got grid, you've got mesomery, you've got tiled. So I would encourage you to play with these options in your free time. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Alrighty, we're moving on. The next section we're going to display would be the blog section, something very similar to this right here, where we'll say something like visit our blog, and then we'll have like 2 or 3 blog posts, and then we'll have like the button that will take the user to the actual blog page. So let's go ahead right now and set that up. I'm going to go in here right now, add my container, go with the 1-column layout. The first thing we're going to add in here would be the header block. So I'm going to grab the text in here that says visit our blog, align to the center. Let's go with the separator, solid. And we're going to go over here to style, and then we're going to come down here to separator. The width, we're going to make it a little bit wide. I think 27% is fine. Thickness is going to be 1. Color is going to be black. And then bottom spacing, let's go with 0 for the bottom spacing. And then for the actual heading, let's come down here to bottom spacing and then set this one to 5. Okay. Next up right now would now be to add the block for our post. So I'm going to click inside in here. Again, make sure that you are adding the block inside of this container. So I'm going to add the block. And the block we're looking for right now is going to be the post grid. Now you do have 3 different ways of displaying your post. You have the post carousel, the post grid, and then the post timeline. But we're going to go with the post grid, and there it is. So a few things real quick. Under general, let's change the post per page from 6 to 3. Columns, we're going to keep that one on 3. Equal height, yes. Make sure this button right here is checked. Okay, that's for general. Now for the read more link, I'm actually going to hide the read more link. We don't need to display the link because when a user clicks on the title of the post, it will take them to the actual post itself, so there's no need. All right, for the content area right here, let's hide the comment. We don't need to display the number of comments. And then for the words and the accept, let's increase this one to actually like something like 30 pixels. Okay, give it a bit more content. And there it is. Last but not least, we're going to add our button. So again, I'm adding the button inside of the main container. So buttons, click on the second one, remove the button, and then we're going to click in here, and in capital letters, we're going to say visit the blog. And then I'm going to go over here to content, add the link right here, / and then blog. And there it is. Let's go ahead now, update, and let us view the page. Scroll down here, and there it is. Very, very, very simple, very clean, no clutter at all. And that's how to add the blog section on our homepage. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Alrighty, so the very last section we're going to add to our homepage is going to be the section where we'll encourage our visitors to subscribe to our newsletter. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, the method I'm going to show you isn't the most effective. Typically, you'd want to sign up for an actual mailing platform like, let's say, MailChimp or ActiveCampaign, and then integrate your account on those platforms with your website. But for the purposes of this course, I'm going to show you how you can create a very simple newsletter form specifically with the Spectra plugin. So let's go ahead right now and add a container with the 2-column layout. The very first one in here will have the header, and let's just call this one the sign up for our newsletter. Okay, and then we're going to add a small paragraph of text. Let me use the list view to select the container because it can be very tricky adding blocks inside of these containers. So I'm going to add a new block right now, paragraph block, and let me paste some dummy text in here, and there it is. Okay, so sign up for our newsletter, blah 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 blah. All right, second column right now, this is where we're gonna add our new block, and that block is going to be the form block right here. So let's add the form block, and when you add the form, you'll have 3 options: simple contact form, newsletter form, and then the suggestion form. We're going to go with the newsletter form. Okay, and then by default, you will have name and then email, which is sufficient enough. This is basically all you need for your mailing list. We do have some options in here for like a preset. We have option 1, and then we have option 2, which I do prefer. So I'm going to go with the second preset. And then on the general, you can do things like change the field label. You can change the style from box to underlined. You can change the overall alignment confirmation type, things like that. And then this is where you can add your custom text for successful completions, or whenever there's an error, you can also modify the message that will be displayed. Okay, that's it for general. Down here where you have the submit button, we can modify how the button would look like. I do like this particular style where you have the button with like rounded corners. So I'm going to go with this option. And now this is where things get very, very, very important, the actions. So what happens once a user has actually submitted the form? Right here, the way the Spectra plugin works is that the entry, the name and email will be sent to your email address. So as an example, I'm going to go ahead right now and add my Gmail account in here. Okay. So I'm using this specifically for just testing purposes. So I've added my Gmail address in here, and then subject will be form submission. You can also integrate Google with Captcha if you wanted to, but I'm going to keep the default, which is not to enable Google with Captcha. So name, the field right here is set to required, as you can see. Email isn't set to required, but we want to make sure that the email field is also set to required. So simply click on the email field and then right here, check the box here that says required. A few changes we could possibly do. The newsletter header, we can separate or rather reduce the spacing between the header and the paragraph text. So we can come down here to style, and then where you have bottom spacing, simply set this one to 0. And then if you wanted to, you could still go with the same separator which we've applied before. Let's do that real quick. Add solid, go to style, and then come down here to separator. Width, we can make this about 673%, which is fine. Thickness, we can go with 1. And then bottom spacing, let's go with something like 5, which is the standard. And of course the color, we're going to make that one black. And there it is. All right, one last thing to do will be to add some padding to the main parent container. All right, so let's go over here to container. I'm sorry, not container, but rather style, and then spacing. And then right here where you have the padding, let's unlink the values. So top, I'm going to say 50 pixels. And then bottom, I will say 50 pixels as well. Let's go ahead right now to update. And let's view the page. Let's scroll down. And there it is. All right, sign up for a newsletter. We have name field, email field. So let's run a test, okay? I am going to say Dick Jones. Okay, and then email, let's say Alex at thewebmonkeyonline.com. This is just as a test. I'm going to hit now submit, and it says the form has been submitted successfully. Now what I'm going to do very, very simply would be to open up my Gmail. Let me bring it out here. This is the Gmail account right here, and as you can see right now, I have gotten the entry saying this is the ID, this is the person's name, this is the person's email address, and of course I can then choose to transfer this information to like an Excel file or any other kind of platform out there. So that's it for adding the newsletter blog to our homepage. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. All right, so now that we've finished building out the home page, it is now time to check out the blog page, which is of course the page that will contain all the posts in our blog. And the default blog page that we've already created, by default, this is how it would look like. This is how the Astra theme will display your blog page by default. And it's not really that bad. I mean, you have kind of like the featured image, you will have the title, you will have some meta description in here, like, you know, leave a comment, the category, and then the author's name, and then you will have the excerpt. and then you will have the read more link, and you can see right now we've got all the posts being listed here. You could make some slight adjustments. So if we were to go to customize as an example, we'll come down here to the blog link right here, and then we're going to go with the blog archive. So right here, you can choose to now begin to change things like the container layout. Let's say, for example, maybe you want something like a full width contain kind of layout, or you can go with like the full width stretched format, or you could even go with the narrow width, which is actually not that bad. It's actually quite nice and neat. So you do have these options in here, and then you can go with like a custom content width if you wanted to. And then here, this is where you can control the post structure. So again, by default, you have the featured image, and then you'll have title and then the blog meta. You can choose to switch it up. So you have the title coming up first instead, and then you'll have the featured image, and then you'll have the excerpt, things like that. So you do have these options in here. And of course, with the paid version of Astra, you will have access to even more options. However, if you don't want to go with the paid version of Astra and you want a bit more control, I'm going to show you exactly what we could do. I will first of all hit publish. Okay, even though we're not going to use this page, I'll hit publish nevertheless. Now, if we were to go to the actual page itself, the blog page, right, and I was to click on edit page, we would not be able to really modify the content, because you can see right now we have this message saying you're currently editing the page that shows your latest posts. So basically, WordPress has control over this particular page. What we're going to do is I've created a new page called articles. So this page is going to replace the blog page. So I've gone with the new page called articles. You can go ahead right now, create your own articles page. I'm going to click edit. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to add a container. Or in fact, we don't even need to add a container. We'll just go straight to browse all. And then right here, where we have our posts, again, we have the post carousel, we have post grid, and then we have the post timeline. Personally, I don't really like the post timeline that much. You could try it, but I'm just going to go with the post grid instead. And there it is. Right now, we can choose to add more posts. We can just go with like 100. Okay, make sure every single post is being displayed. So we have all the posts right there. So I'm going to go ahead right now and simply update. And now we can view the page. And there it is. So now this is a better way, in my humble opinion, of displaying your blog posts as opposed to the default blog page right here that just displays the posts on top of each other. I do like this grid format. So again, we now have all our posts been displayed. There seems to be an issue with the featured image for hiking to Mount Fitzroy. I'm not sure what's happening there, but nevertheless, we'll have our posts now being displayed in this particular format. And of course, unlike the blog page, the default blog page, right here, we can modify this page as much as we want. We can increase the length of our excerpt, for example. And then right here, we can even add the post timeline. Let me show you how it looks like. So we're going to go with the post timeline. And there it is. It's not, I mean, you can modify how it looks like over here. But again, it's not my favorite way of displaying a post. But let me just show you nevertheless what it would look like. So view the page. And so down here, you can see this is the post timeline. So you may like it. I don't know. You can choose to modify and change the way the posts are displayed. It's entirely up to you. But me personally, I like the post grid format. So let me just simply go back and remove the timeline display. And there it is. Okay, so let me remove post timeline, update. And there you go. All right, so view the page one more time. And there it is. So this is our new page right now for the blog. So the last thing to do right now would be to go to the main menu and simply replace the blog page with our articles page. So I'm going to go ahead right now and remove the blog page and then add the new one called articles, and then I'll drag that one to the top right here, save the menu, and there it is. Okay, so we've created our own custom blog page called articles. The last thing we're going to do in this video right now will be to modify the actual post page. So if I was to click on Beauty of Edinburgh, for example, what we have right here is we have the featured image, we have the title. So if you wanted to customize this particular page, you could go to customize again for the Astra theme, and then you could come down here to blog, and then you go to single post. And now this is where we can modify how it's going to look like. You can add the boxed format if you wanted to. And then for the sidebar layout, you could go with adding like a right sidebar. So by default, you will have like the search bar, recent posts, recent comments, archives, categories, things like that. And then of course in here, you can modify the content width as well. You can also enable related posts. So down here, you will have 2 related posts. Me personally, I like to go with 3. All right, and then change the column grid, the grid column layout to 3 as well. And there it is. I'm not sure why. All right, I think I know why. That's because we only have 3 posts for the Europe category. Had it been we had like 4 or 5, you would have the third post showing up in here. That's why we only have 2. So keep that in mind. Now, regarding the actual sidebar itself, if you wanted to modify this, let me quickly show you. It's the old school, backend thing. We're going to go to the backend of WordPress right now. So let's go to the backend. We're going to come down here to appearance, and then of course we have widgets. So this is where you can modify the contents of the sidebar. And there it is. So you have like the main sidebar right now with the search bar. You have recent posts, you have recent comments, archives, categories. So if you wanted to, you could come in here and add plus, and then you could add something like the social share. This one specifically by Spectra. So we can add that one, and then you have your presets in here, preset 1, preset 2, preset 3. All like the ones with the circles. You can go to content, and then you can choose the layout. Do you want it to be horizontal, vertical? We're going to keep ours on horizontal. And then of course under style, you can change things like the size, the background size, border radius, and so on. Now, if you wanted to modify the actual social media platforms available, right here, you will have this plus button. Okay, so you can click inside. And then one thing you want to do is when you add plus, by default, it will add Facebook for you. But then right here where you have type, you can come in here right now and simply choose the one that you wanted to go with. So say for example, let's go with Tumblr, for example. Okay, so now we have Tumblr. And if you wanted to delete any one of them, for example, let's say Pinterest, for example, right here, you can simply just click the delete, or you can even come right here and just simply choose remove social child, and that's it. We can remove Twitter as well. So now we only have Facebook, LinkedIn, Tumblr, and that's pretty much it. All right. Last thing though is we're going to align them to the left. So let's go over here to style. I'm sorry, under general content. So alignment is going to be on the left right there, and that's it. Update. And there it is. So now if I was to go to any one of my posts, say for example, Singapore, a magical country, right down here, now you have the social media icons available for the users to share this particular post on those platforms. If you wanted to add the header, let me quickly show you. For the header, right up here, make sure you have this button. This can be so annoying sometimes. All right, so you have the plus button in here. Make sure it's above. Just add the header, and then just simply say share on social media. All right, update, and there it is. Let's go back in here, refresh the page, and also scroll down here. Now you will see the 3 social media links right here, allowing the user to share it on social media. So for example, if I was to click on the Facebook link right there, now you can see it's gone straight to Facebook. I can now add a comment and then simply post this to my group or on Facebook in general. So that's how you could add the social media icons to allow users to share your content, your blog posts on social media. So that's it for building out our custom blog page and modifying the individual blog post pages as well. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Alrighty, so the very last page we're going to build out will be the contact page. Now, we could build the page very quickly by simply adding the contact form. Let me quickly show you. Click on edit page, come in here, type in form, we add form, choose the contact form, and then we can simply update, and we can then view the page, and just like that, in less than 30 seconds we have our contact form. We could do this, but I don't want this page to be very boring. I want to add a bit more fun and animation. So let me introduce you to something called the Lottie files. You may have heard of this particular website. In here you can get custom animations that are extremely light in size, and best of all, many of them are actually free. So you can go ahead right now, create your account with them. If you already have an account, simply log in, and then when you have the search bar right there, I'm going to type in contact, press enter. Let me give you a pro tip. You can select where you have price, simply select free, and you'll get all the ones that are absolutely free of charge. So I do like this one right here, the one with the darkish blue form. So I'm going to click inside. This will take us to the animation page right here. Over here, you can actually customize the speed, the background color, the color palette, and so on. And then you can also download the animation in various formats. You have the Lottie JSON, the zip archive, GIF, and so on. But for the Spectra block plugin, the one that works best is the actual insert from URL. So I'm going to grab this URL right here. I'm going to copy the actual link for the animation. Let's go back in here to our contact page. Let's edit the page. And now let's do this properly. So I'm going to remove this, remove the form. Let's go back, add a container, 2-column layout, go back in here, add the form, contact form. All right, I'm going to go with the second preset. And then let's go to general, and then you can customize the success message text, the error message text, and so on. The submit button, I'm going to go with the style I like, and then actions, again, let's add the onialex14@gmail email address right there. So anytime anybody submits this particular form, we will get this in the Gmail account. And then, of course, for style and so on, you can make all those modifications. I'm going to click on the email field, make sure it is set to required. And there it is. Okay. Next is going to be the second container where we're going to add the Lottie animation. So I'm going to type in Lottie in the search bar. So here we have a Lottie animation. And now I'm going to go with the insert from URL. And I'm now going to paste the link I copied. And I'm going to click on the link right here to now apply. And there it is. Let's go ahead right now and update. And now let us view our newly improved contact page with the Lottie file animation. And there you go. This is a much better contact page than the boring one we initially created. So that's it for the contact page. Of course, you can modify this further by adding some text as well, like, fill out the form below and we'll contact you back in less than 24 hours or things like that. And if you wanted to, you could add that text. But I like this very simple format. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. So now let me show you how you can make use of a special feature with the Astra theme, and that's going to be the starter templates provided by the Astra theme. As an example, we're trying to build the about page, but let's say we don't want to build from scratch. We just want to get a pre-built template and then modify the templates. We can make use of the starter templates, and to do so, we're going to have to go to the backend first and activate the plugin. So come down here to Astra, go to dashboard, and then right here on the right, you will see starter templates. Just click on install, and it's basically a plugin actually. So now it's active, and now if we go, okay, automatically this page will open showing you kind of like how it works and so on. I'm just going to exit this page and go to the actual dashboard. Let's go back to the about page. and I'll show you how it works. All right, so this is the about page. Now I'm going to click on edit page. Now, because we have the plugin installed and active, you will now see this new blue button here that says template kits. Just click inside, and now from here you'll have access to so many different types of templates. Let's say, for example, we're looking for the template for the about. I can come in right now, type in about, and there it is. Now you can see we have different templates for the about us page. And just as an example, I can go with this one right here. Okay, just as an example, and I'll click on import, and there it is. And all I would need to do from this point on would be to modify the contents of this template. So for example, I can change the image right here. You know, I can click in here, I can click on replace, and then open my media library, and then upload my own image if I wanted to, things like that. I can modify the text, the headers, the background color, and so on. That's basically how the starter templates work. You have templates for other kinds of pages like the contact page, which we've already built. But let me just show you. You can see we have different types of templates in here for the contact page. We have for services as well. And just about any kind of template you can think of, you will have the template pre-built for you right here. All you need to do is choose the one that you like, import it, and then edit the actual contents for that template, publish, and you are good to go. So that's how to make use of the template kits provided by Astra. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Let's now take a look at how we can modify the footer on our website. And by default, what we have here would be the copyright text, and then the year, the name of the website, and then powered by our Astra WordPress theme. This isn't exactly the best kind of content to have in your footer. So let's go ahead right now and modify it. So I'm going to click on the customize button up here. And of course, this will take us to our Astra theme options. I'm going to go here to the footer builder. I'm going to click there. Now, because we're using the free version of the theme, we don't have access to a lot more features. However, we can still do some good stuff here. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do right now is to modify the copyright text. So I'm going to click on copyright, and what I'll do right here is I'll simply remove the powered by and then the theme author. Well, we don't need to let the whole world know that we're using the Astra theme. Okay, and then I'll also remove the dash at the end. So what we have right now is just simply copyright 2023 password travel. Okay. However, right down here, we do have the option of adding additional content if we wanted to. We do have 2 rows above the copyright text. So I'm going to go with the very first row in here. I'll click on plus, and now I am going to add the footer menu. Remember, we created a footer menu when we created the main menu. So I'll click on footer menu right there. And then over here on the right, I'm going to click in there. And we can also add our social media icons. And there it is. Now you can see we've got the footer menu, and then we have our social media icons. And then at the bottom, we have our copyright text. Now, if I was to go back up here, you will now see that under elements, we now have the copyright text, the footer menu, and then social. And then under design, we can do things like add a background color to the footer if we wanted to, but I'm going to leave that as it is. However, I will go right down here to our social media icons, click in there. Oops, my apologies. Let me go back down here. Okay, I'm going to click on the pen right here. So this will allow us to edit the social media icons. So I'll click in there. So from here right now, I can choose to either add additional social media icons or remove those that we already have in there. I'm going to remove YouTube, okay, and I'll just keep Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, we can decide to actually show the labels, which I think would be better. So I will enable this to show the labels, okay. And now let's go back. Let me actually go ahead and hit publish. So we can now see, let me refresh this page. And hopefully we can now see the social media icons. And there it is. Okay, so now you can see we've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The labels are showing because we said, yes, let us show the labels. I'm going to go back to footer builder and then go to social and then right here, I can go to the design, and we can change the colors if we wanted to. So for the icon color right now, I can click in here and let's say choose blue. Now they're blue, which is okay. You can also do things like increase the icon size if you want them to be a bit bigger. And then you can add the icon spacing, things like that. I'm going to keep the default as it is. I'm going to go back in here, go to the footer menu, and also we can go over here to design, and then we can also change things like the text as well. So I'm going to click on the link text, choose blue as well. Okay, and then you can also add colors for the hover color and then the active colors as well. And then the font size, we can increase this one as well to, let's say, maybe 18 pixels. Make it a little bit bigger. And there it is. You can add additional things like your menu spacing, margins, and so on. I'm going to go back. Let's now go to copyright, go to design, and also in here, let's make this just a little, oh, that's way too big, my apologies. Let's make this one 18 pixels as well to match the font size for the menu. And then the text color, also we can go with blue if we wanted to, but instead I'm going to go with black. All right, and there it is. I'm going to go ahead now and hit publish. Let's close this. And now I'm going to scroll all the way down here. And there it is. That is our newly improved footer. Much better than just having the default copyright text there. So there it is. Thank you so much for watching the video. I will see you in the next class. Well, there it is. We've come to the end of today's tutorial where I've shown you how to build a full WordPress website, the travel blog. And of course, if you enjoyed this tutorial, please do consider leaving a thumbs up. Share this video with anyone whom you feel might benefit from it. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified whenever I upload a new tutorial. If you have any questions or comments about anything I covered in this tutorial, be sure to leave them down in the comment section below. I will do my best to answer them as soon as I can. My name is Alex. It's been a pleasure. I wish you all the very best in building your WordPress website. And until next time, stay safe and I'll see you soon. Cheers.